It's so delicious, Lin Feng. Aya sucked on her finger and said with a satisfied look on her face. Hee hee, as long as you enjoy your meal. As soon as he finished speaking, a mischievous smile appeared on Lin Feng's face. He leaned forward, got close to Aya's ear, and whispered something. In an instant, Aya lowered her head, her face flushed red, and she twisted uncomfortably as she softly replied, I understand. Before long, Lin Feng picked up the unconscious Aya and quietly left the place. He carefully put Aya back in her original position, then returned to the iron bed and lay down to sleep. In the darkness, a pair of eyes flickered, silently watching everything. The night passed quietly, and the next day, all the women awoke. Lorna took out the food and began distributing it. Lin Feng sat on the iron bed, eating while glancing at Aya. Aya noticed Lin Feng's intense gaze and immediately felt shy and flustered. She tried to avoid Lin Feng's gaze, but every time she peeked over, she found that Lin Feng was still staring intently at her. The feeling of being stared at made Aya extremely embarrassed, and she wished she could find a crack in the ground to crawl into immediately. Thinking back on her crazy actions last night, Aya's face instantly turned as red as a ripe apple. She never imagined that she, who is usually gentle and quiet, would do something so daring. Hey, Aya, it's your turn. What are you spacing out for? Lorna's voice suddenly rang out, instantly pulling Aya back to reality from her reverie. Aya quickly snapped out of her daze and replied, Oh. He then hurriedly took the food from Rona, lowered his head, and ate it silently. Ouch! Lin Feng suddenly cried out in pain. Mizuki, why are you pinching me? Oomph. I pinched you because you were staring at my teammate with such a lecherous look. Lin Maywes stood with her hands on her hips, puffing out her cheeks, her eyes full of anger. You! Lin Feng felt helpless upon seeing this, and really didn't want to argue with this jealous person. Soon, it was 12 o'clock. Everyone get ready. Don't lose formation when we go out. Lorna gave a loud instruction, her eyes scanning everyone. Yes, everyone responded in unison. With a click, the iron gate opened. Lin Feng and Luo Na were the first to walk out, followed closely by the others. As they approached the cave entrance, a noisy and chaotic sound came from outside. Bang, bang, bang. The sounds of fierce fighting continued one after another. Kill them! Kill them! A rough voice roared wildly, filled with murderous intent. No! No! The cries for mercy were mixed in, revealing utter despair. Now, the battlefield is on the west side. Li Muyun. It's him. Everyone attack. Gravity manipulation. Li Muyun shouted, and a powerful force erupted instantly. With a loud boom, more than a dozen people were seen being tightly bound by gravity, their bodies pressed firmly against the ground. Their faces were contorted in rage, veins bulging, and expressions of extreme pain. Soon, some people who could not withstand the pressure had their blood vessels burst one after another, and blood gushed out, splattering all over the ground, and the air was instantly filled with a thick smell of blood. Hee, now you know how big the gap is between ordinary people and those with special talents. Li Muyun gave a smug sneer, her eyes filled with contempt and disdain. Chapter 79 Gale. Chaos, Cruelty, Slaughter. Lin Feng and his group stopped and looked out through the cave entrance. Before my eyes, rows of iron houses are connected to each other, stretching as far as the eye can see. The survivors were densely packed together, some fighting with bloodshot eyes, others fleeing for their lives in panic. Countless mutated creatures mingled among them, rampaging and causing death and injury everywhere. Other groups, large and small, gathered together and, without distinguishing right from wrong, began to attack anyone they saw. No, don't kill me. The desperate cries echoed in the air, only to be instantly drowned out by the merciless splat sound. At that moment, a maniacal laugh rang out from the center of the battlefield. Ha ha, awesome, awesome, awesome. Today I'm going to have a good time killing. Lin Feng looked closely and saw a tall, burly man wielding a giant axe, hacking at the crowd relentlessly. Wan Ba. Lin Feng recognized him at a glance. The next second, Wang Ba unleashed his brute force charge talent, causing the ground to tremble with every step he took. Enemies in his path were sent flying, their blood splattering everywhere. Behind the battlefield, Zhang Xiaoqiang, who was equally burly, with a stubble-covered face and wearing white defensive gear, was leading a team of ordinary survivors in a tenacious resistance amidst the chaos. Although they lacked extraordinary talent, they formed a tight defensive line through their tacit cooperation. The north side of the battlefield. It was Li Xingyun, tall and fair-skinned. He closed his eyes and released his dream illusion talent, causing the surrounding enemies to fall into a dream, instantly frozen on the spot, and then being killed by a survivor who took advantage of the situation. On the south side of the battlefield was a woman with a graceful figure and a beautiful face, named Ulina. She suddenly shouted, "Ice and snow!" Instantly, a chilling aura spread throughout the area, followed by snowflakes falling from the sky. The enemy's movements became sluggish, and their bodies, covered in frost, gradually stiffened. And then there's Zhang Peng, the fat guy whose talent is farting. He nimbly weaved through the crowd, his round body suddenly buckling up, a powerful gust of air shooting out from his rear, sending the surrounding enemies flying. Upon seeing this, Lin Feng was stunned for a moment. That's really awesome. Oh, I'll pass like this. Sudden, at the very back of the battlefield, a towering tree crashed down in the aftershocks of the battle, hurtling towards the crowd. The enormous tree trunks, accompanied by a howling wind, made them impossible to avoid. Scatter! Scatter now! Help! Help me! The screams were drowned out by the chaotic shouts of killing. The crowd scattered and fled, but many people were still hit by falling trees and lost their lives instantly. The mutated creatures affected by the attack had their original ferocious aura suppressed. Lin Feng's gaze swept quickly across the battlefield, trying to remember everyone's talents and fighting style. At this moment, Rona's voice trembled slightly, and she said with a pale face, "Lin Feng, this is too scary. Don't worry, we'll just stay out of it." No sooner had they finished speaking than a giant mutated spider charged toward them. "Careful!" Lin Feng shouted loudly and slashed at the spider with his knife. The spider sprayed venom, and Lin Feng dodged to the side, causing the venom to splash onto the ground and immediately rise into a puff of blue smoke. Immediately afterwards, everyone used their talents and quickly killed the mutated spider. Lin Feng continued to observe the battle, his gaze slowly moving downwards until he saw the exchange coupons scattered all over the ground, and his eyes immediately lit up. We're going to make a fortune this time. Let's go, everyone, follow me. Remember, don't linger in the fight. Once you get the vouchers, head back to your team. Understood, the female team members replied in unison. Afterwards, Lin Feng led the women and quietly sneaked into a deserted area of the battlefield. The female team members quickly dispersed, excitedly picking up the thick stack of vouchers on the ground. A moment later, as Lorna quickly picked them up, she excitedly muttered, I got them. 100. I can't even count them all. Ha! Lin Feng opened his spatial backpack and took out the special item, Swift Wind. Looking at the golden vouchers scattered on the ground, Lin Feng knew that he would regret it for the rest of his life if he missed this opportunity, so he decisively clicked to use them. Instantly, streaks of lightning, like silver snakes, coursed around Lin Feng, crackling and flashing incessantly. His clothes rattled under the electric shock, and sparks even flew from the corners of his garments. The next second, Lin Feng moved, leaving a trail of afterimages of lightning behind him. When he spoke, his voice was accompanied by the booming sound of thunder. They're all mine. Chapter 80 Madness. Utter madness. Utterly madness. The next moment, Lin Feng rushed into the battlefield, his speed reaching its limit, his figure transforming into a blurry streak of light. Wherever he passed, a powerful airflow swept out like a storm. Those who got close to him didn't even have time to react before they were blown away by this powerful force, falling to the ground with screams in the distance. His hands moved with lightning speed, collecting the vouchers one by one into his spatial backpack. Upon seeing this, everyone on the battlefield stopped moving, standing there dumbfounded. Time seemed to stand still at that moment. The entire battlefield was now empty except for Lin Feng's figure and the sight of the exchange coupons constantly disappearing. 30 seconds passed in the blink of an eye, and Lin Feng returned to Luo Na's team as quickly as he had arrived. Lin Feng, what you've done? Lorna was also dumbfounded and didn't know what to say for a long time. Lin Feng didn't answer, but instead opened his spatial backpack to check his loot. Holy crap, 12,000. His voice trembled slightly with excitement. At this time, the crowd snapped out of their shock. How is this possible? Li Muyun muttered to himself in surprise. Zhang Peng looked dejected. No way. He took all the vouchers. Lin Feng didn't care what they were thinking and said to the women with a smile, "Let's go back." Okay. Lorna instinctively replied. Ugh, I'm so angry. Everyone stop fighting. The vouchers are all on him. Don't let him get away. Wang Ba roared, and everyone present reacted instantly. The next second, everyone rushed towards Lin Feng. This is terrible. Run. Afterwards, everyone quickly returned to the Iron House, and Lin Feng hurriedly activated the energy shield of the Iron Gate. Soon, bang, 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 bang. Rumble, rumble. The deafening, tidal wave of impacts came one after another. Ding! Repair successful. 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 Sweat beaded on Lin Feng's forehead as he repaired the Iron Gate, while simultaneously opening the information panel. Iron Gate durability. 61 warning. 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 The Iron Gate has suffered heavy impacts. Its durability is decreasing at a rate of 100 times per minute. Tip: if durability drops to 20, please repair the Iron Gate as soon as possible. Iron Gate energy remaining. 35%. Note: replace the energy crystal promptly when the energy drops to 10%. 800 pieces of pig iron. Seeing this, Lin Feng became very anxious. At this rate, he was afraid he wouldn't be able to hold them off. Quick, give me all the pig iron. Quick, quick, quick. Okay. Inside the room, the women stood pale-faced, their eyes glazed over, staring blankly in despair, clearly terrified. Upon hearing Lin Feng's words, Luona realized what was happening and quickly collected everyone's pig iron, sending it all over via private chat. Then, she had all the women open all the material exchange coupons they had just received. You bastard. Get out here. Do you fucking want to keep all these vouchers for yourself? Yeah. Smash it harder. Smash it harder. Kid, get out here right now. Come out. It was obvious that the allure of the vouchers had made all the survivors' eyes turn red, and they were all letting out hysterical shouts of hatred. Holy crap. Lin Feng knew that these people were completely desperate, and he was suddenly startled. Check the information about the Iron House. Level 4 Iron House upgrade requirements. 3,000 pieces of pig iron, 200 pieces of obsidian, 3,000 pieces of charcoal, 30 energy crystals, monster hearts. Damn, energy crystals cost 30. Lin Feng shouted helplessly, then looked up at the time above the Iron Gate. 11:50. Thank goodness. The monster will be here in 10 minutes. Then, while frantically collecting the pig iron sent by Luona, Lin Feng kept a close eye on the durability of the Iron Gate, feeling extremely anxious. Faster, faster, he muttered to himself, sweat pouring down his forehead like rain. Ding! Repair successful. Ding! Repair successful. Ding! Repair successful. Lorna anxiously urged the women. Exchange. Keep exchanging. Lin Feng, can you hold on? Lin Meiwa asked in a trembling voice. Yes, it's definitely possible. Lin Feng responded through gritted teeth. You shameless bastard, don't think you can get away with this just because you're hiding inside. Once we storm in, we will slaughter you all. At this moment, Lin Feng watched as the Iron Gate's durability continued to drop, and the repair speed was almost unable to keep up with the rate of damage. He became increasingly nervous, and his face grew increasingly grim. As time passed, the impact became increasingly violent. Time, 11:55. Just a little longer, almost there, almost there. Just then, the Iron Gate made a loud and muffled sound, and its durability dropped significantly in an instant. Outside the Iron House, Wang Ba forcefully pushed through the crowd from behind, reached the Iron Gate, and launched brute force charge without hesitation. Holy crap, Lin Feng exclaimed. Upon seeing this, the women screamed in fright. Please stop yelling, okay? You almost deafened me. Oh. Upon hearing this, the female team members lowered their heads, somewhat embarrassed. Soon, 12 o'clock. Roar, roar, roar. A monster's roar came from afar, and the people outside instantly fell silent. Lin Feng and the others were delighted. It's here, we've finally waited for it. Sure enough, the next moment, the sound of hurried footsteps and terrified shouts could be heard outside. Monsters coming! Run! Run! Inside the iron house, Lin Feng slumped to the ground, wiping the sweat from his forehead, and said, "Phew, it's finally over." "Yes, that scared me to death." Luo Na responded by squatting down, and the other female team members breathed a sigh of relief. Chapter 81 Despair. Countless monsters. Fushed wealth. Outside the iron gate, countless survivors swarmed around in the darkness like headless flies. Because of the darkness and obstructed visibility, many people could not find their own iron house and rashly broke into other people's iron houses, only to be mercilessly strangled in an instant. The stench of blood filled the air, and a shadow of death loomed over everyone. At this moment, several highly talented individuals are engaged in a fierce battle with the monster. "Hey everyone, let's put aside our hatred for now. How about we work together to take down these monsters and split the energy crystals we get equally?" "Okay." Hulina was the first to agree. "Good." Li Muyun gave Wang Ba a deep look, realizing that now was not the time to settle personal grudges. Although he was unwilling, he could only agree. Li Xingyun and Zhang Pang nodded in agreement. "All right, let's get started." In an instant, the five of them were locked in combat with a group of monsters. With their powerful talents, they quickly killed a monster, but before they could retrieve the energy crystal, attacks from other monsters swarmed in. "Forget about the crystals. Let's kill all the monsters first." Upon hearing this, Wang Ba stopped insisting and hurriedly dodged the monsters' attacks. Before long, the five of them worked together and killed dozens more monsters, leaving only 4 left. At this moment, their bodies were covered in the monsters' black blood, and their breathing became rapid and heavy. But just then, sizzle sizzle, the remaining 4 monsters tilted their heads back and let out a series of ear-piercing screams. The sound seemed to penetrate the soul, and the 5 people immediately felt dizzy and confused. They covered their ears tightly with their hands, and their expressions were contorted in pain. "This is a call for backup. Quick, kill them. We can't let them scream anymore." Unfortunately, the 5 were unable to stop it and could only watch helplessly as the monster screams ended. Soon, countless monsters swarmed in, roughly estimated to be over 1,000. The 5 people's faces turned deathly pale as they stared in terror at the monsters that kept pouring in from all sides. "Ow, how could this happen?" Their voices trembled, filled with disbelief and deep fear. In the brief moment that the group was stunned, the endless stream of monsters had already coalesced into a dark, surging ocean. The monsters lurked in the darkness, their dinging faces becoming increasingly clear, and a terrifying aura spread outwards. After realizing what had happened, the 5 people frantically fled towards the Iron House complex. But then they discovered that a large group of mutated survivors had appeared behind them. "Damn it, why are these pathetic bastards here too?" It is said that Wang Ba once accidentally discovered that people who ate the flesh of mutated creatures would not lose their minds at first, and their strength and speed would also increase significantly. Moreover, the stronger the mutated creature, the greater the increase in strength after eating its flesh. But a week later, these people will all turn into mindless monsters. Wang Ba was extremely evil. For his own benefit, he tricked some survivors into eating the flesh of mutated creatures, falsely claiming that it would increase their strength, and made them act as meat shields to attack the mutated creatures. On the 6th day, he killed these people, tied them with ropes, and threw them far away. However, he never expected that people who ate the flesh of mutated creatures had extremely strong healing abilities. Li Muyun later discovered this secret as well. Therefore, the 2 groups fought over the carcass of the mutated wild boar that day, thus beginning their feud. All those they thought they had killed were resurrected on the 7th day. At this moment, Wang Ba reaped the consequences of his actions, as his path was blocked by the mutated survivors. Upon seeing Wang Ba, the mutants' eyes gleamed with even greater ferocity, for they would never forget this villain. Roar! 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 Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. In an instant, a group of mutated survivors pounced on Wang Ba and began to bite him frantically. "Aya, you damn beasts! Ouch! That hurts! Get out! Get out!" Soon, Wang Ba's body was submerged, and his eyes gradually became unfocused. Is this retribution?" he murmured weakly. Immediately afterwards, his head was ripped off. The four people not far away felt a sudden tightness in their hearts when they saw this scene. Li Muyun, in particular, was startled to find several mutated survivors staring intently at him. He turned and ran like a rabbit without looking back. As time passed, countless mutated creatures and monsters swept across the land like a tidal wave, turning it into a living hell. Inside Lin Feng's iron house, everyone listened to the screams outside, their bodies tense, not daring to breathe. Even their breathing was cautious. At 3 a.m, the sounds outside gradually faded away. I'm going out to check. You all stay here and don't make a sound. Lin Feng said. Lin Feng, be careful, Luo Na said with a worried expression. Okay. Then, Lin Feng gently opened the iron gate, leaving a crack, and looked outside for a while. After confirming that it was safe, he walked straight out. Soon, he arrived at the cave entrance and saw that the ground was littered with the corpses of survivors, lying haphazardly and in a gruesome sight. The pungent smell of blood hit him, and the horrific scene before him instantly turned his face pale. That's terrible. After a short while, he began to pick up the remaining vouchers on the ground. Soon, Lin Feng saw the monster lying on the ground. This is... Lin Feng was overjoyed and quickly went closer to check. He then swiftly used his machete to cut open the monster's chest and retrieve the energy crystals. After a while, and confirming that there were no more energy crystals nearby, Lin Feng opened his spatial backpack and found that there were as many as 36 energy crystals inside. Upon seeing this, he quickly looked around and, finding no one watching, immediately returned to the iron house. When everyone saw him return, they quickly gathered around him. Lin Feng, what's the situation outside? It's all right, the monsters have all left. Hearing this, the female team members breathed a sigh of relief, their hearts finally at ease. All right, it's getting late. Everyone should go and get some rest. Lin Feng waved his hand in acknowledgement. Afterwards, everyone returned to their positions, and Lin Feng and Lin Meiyue also returned to their iron beds. Lin Meiyue was extremely exhausted at this time, and fell into a deep sleep as soon as she got out of bed. Lin Feng, however, was wide awake. He opened his spatial backpack and saw more than 14,000 vouchers inside. His pupils dilated instantly. Chapter 82, The Hidden Enemy? Prepare for evolution. At that moment, outside the iron house, 2 tall figures flashed by like ghosts. Damn it, everything's gone. Did that kid take it all? One of them gritted his teeth, his words filled with anger, his deep voice echoing in the darkness. Boss Luo Tian, Lin Feng's speed and skill are so amazing. His talent is probably extraordinary. No matter how powerful he is, if he dares to steal our things, he must die. As Luo Tian spoke, the muscles on his face trembled slightly with anger, and his eyes revealed a fierce glint. So what do we do next? After a moment of silence, go back first. Tomorrow, bring men to ambush him here. If he dares to come out, find an opportunity to ambush and kill him. Okay, I'll arrange it right away. Inside the iron house, Lin Feng was focused on opening the vouchers, so engrossed in it that time quietly slipped away. After what seemed like an eternity, his hand was starting to cramp. This is the first time I've ever felt that opening a voucher is so painful. Lin Feng complained, shaking his aching wrist. Phew, let's continue. He took a deep breath, forcing himself to endure his exhaustion, and clicked on the coupon again. After a while, all the vouchers were used up, and Lin Feng checked the supplies in his spatial backpack. 23,500 portions of food and water, 5,600 pieces of pig iron, 230 pieces of obsidian, 4,000 pieces of charcoal, 36 energy crystals, and 1,300 weapons of various kinds. The enormous numbers flashed on the virtual screen, dazzling him. Ding! Weapon quantity detected has reached the enhancement energy requirement. Consume 1,000 weapons to enhance the machete. Lin Feng didn't hesitate and clicked yes. Immediately afterwards, the machete slowly rose into the air, attracting the surrounding air and forming visible vortexes of airflow. The blade emitted a dazzling light, and within that light, the blade began to change. The originally rough surface became smooth as a mirror, gleaming with a cold, sharp light. At the edge of the blade, wisps of mysterious runes emerged, shimmering with an eerie light. The material of the blade also continuously transforms, gradually changing from ordinary steel to an unknown, mysterious metal that exudes a powerful aura. Soon, the light faded, and the machete was revealed in its entirety once more. Now, it is several tens of centimeters longer than before, and the handle is also thicker, making it feel more substantial in hand. Check the weapons. Weapon name, machete. Remaining enhancement energy, 0.1%. Enhancement can be performed once when energy reaches 100%. Additional effects, continuous bleeding. Life steal, continuously absorbs enemy blood during attacks. Berserk, chance to trigger double damage. Not bad. You even added 2 extra effects. After saying that, he played with the knife in his hand for a while, then prepared to go to sleep. But just then, Lin Feng suddenly thought, now that so many people have died, many of the iron houses should be empty. I can take this opportunity to absorb them and use them to upgrade my talent. Thinking of this, Lin Feng sat up abruptly, quickly dressed, opened the iron gate, and went out. After a while, Lin Feng approached the iron house complex and saw a scene of apocalyptic desolation. Those once sturdy iron houses are now either half-collapsed or reduced to mere rickety frames. Lin Feng carefully walked into the ruins, the sounds of shattering glass and twisting metal echoing beneath his feet. Just then, he noticed that the door of an iron house was half open. He gently pushed it, and the hinges made a dull, creaking sound. Inside the room, the bed was overturned, and the bedding was covered in blood and grime. Continuing forward, the walls of another iron house were covered with deep claw marks. The tables and chairs inside were smashed to pieces, and there were still some hairs and scales of some unknown creatures left on the ground. Lin Feng took a deep breath and continued searching for an iron house to absorb amidst the devastation. A short while later, at the edge of the iron house complex, he saw several intact iron houses. He opened one of the iron doors, and a survivor's corpse came into view. Seeing this, Lin Feng's face lit up with joy, and he quickly went inside. Ding! The owner of this level 2 iron house is dead. All criteria meet the requirements for absorption. Do you wish to absorb it? Yes. Initial profit, evolution energy requirement progress, 40%, exploration area increased by 400 meters. Not bad. Another 100 meters improved. Seeing this, Lin Feng no longer hesitated and continued his search. Soon, initial profit, evolution energy requirement progress, 50%, exploration area increased by 400 meters. Initial profit, evolution energy requirement progress, 60%, exploration area increased by 500 meters. Initial profit, evolution energy requirement progress, 70%, exploration area increased by 600 meters. Initial profit, evolution energy requirement progress, 80%, exploration area increased by 700 meters. Initial profit, evolution energy requirement progress, 90%, exploration area increased by 800 meters. Initial profit, evolution energy requirement progress, 100%, exploration area increased by 900 meters. Ding! Evolution energy has reached 100%. Yes. No. Begin upgrading the profit talent. Note: you will experience significant discomfort during the upgrade process. Please find a safe location to upgrade. Chapter 83, The Profit Evolution. New Abilities. Lin Feng ignored the message and continued searching for an absorbable iron house. Ding! Energy mismatch. Unable to absorb. Lin Feng was stunned when he heard the notification tone. What does this mean? Has the way we obtain energy changed? Left with no other choice, Lin Feng returned to the iron house. Then he gently opened the hidden space, sat on the bed, and stared at the talent upgrade button on the panel. Will it be very painful? Just how painful? A moment of silence. Never mind. I'll endure the pain, no matter how much it hurts. Phew! Lin Feng took a deep breath and pressed down firmly with a determined look in his eyes. Instantly, a sharp, throbbing pain shot straight to his head. Goodness. Is it all right? I thought it would hurt more. This is it. But soon, the pain intensified, and Lin Feng felt as if his head was about to explode. He let out a low growl from his throat, his eyes tightly closed, but chaotic images kept flashing before his eyes. After an unknown amount of time, the pain finally subsided slowly. Huff huff! Lin Feng gasped for breath, completely exhausted and powerless. But before he could even catch his breath, new situations arose one after another. A strange energy surged in his mind, violently impacting his consciousness. Lin Feng gritted his teeth, trying his best to withstand the impact of this energy. At this moment, Lin Feng clearly felt that his prophet talent was undergoing a qualitative transformation. About 5 or 6 minutes later, everything returned to calm. Phew, it's finally over. After a while, Lin Feng gradually regained some strength. Then, he slowly opened his eyes, and a strange light flashed from the depths of his eyes. Open the information panel. Name, Lin Feng. Gender, male. Age, 18. Agility, 80. Spirit, SAN 100 stable. Stamina, 100 plus 1,500. Every additional 10 points of stamina increases strength by 10 gene. Stable. Iron Gate durability, 83. Note, if the durability drops to 20, please repair the Iron Gate as soon as possible. Iron Gate energy remaining, 10%. Activate protection? Yes. No. Note, replace the energy crystal promptly when the energy drops to 10%. Resources, 5,600 pieces of pig, iron, etc. Talent, intermediate prophet, spirit god. Ability 1, perception, can autonomously detect everything around them. The number of times and the range are limited by one's mental strength. Please use it wisely. Ability 2, prediction, can vaguely see future events. Duration limited by level and mental strength. Note, each use consumes a large amount of mental strength. Use only in critical moments. Ability 3, mental infusion, can use one's own mental energy to inflict drowsiness, excitement, or confusion on enemies. Note, if the enemy's mental energy is strong, they will recover quickly. Intensity and frequency are limited by one's own mental energy. Lin Feng looked very surprised when he saw the new ability. After a while, unable to suppress his curiosity, he decided to try his predictive abilities first. He focused his mind, and in an instant, a strange feeling surged into his heart, and his consciousness was drawn into a chaotic vortex. Let's see what happens in the future, Lin Feng murmured to himself. In the blurry scene, he saw himself leaving this place, and then, after that, he was sleeping on the iron bed. However, just as he was about to delve deeper into the vision of the future, a sudden, sharp pain struck his head. He tried to grit his teeth and bear it, but the pain became more and more intense, almost making him faint. He had no choice but to give up. Check mental strength. 5 o'clock. Lin Feng's heart tightened suddenly. He hadn't expected that this one attempt would almost exhaust all of his mental energy. As expected, this predictive ability shouldn't be used lightly. Without thinking further, Lin Feng left the place, feeling dizzy, and went back to his iron bed to sleep. The next day, Lin Feng was awakened by a noisy conversation. Hee, I ordered 100 servings of food. Lily's face lit up with a smile. Wow, Lily, you're amazing. I only opened 50 orders. Yu Yao, standing beside her, looked on with envy, her voice tinged with a hint of disappointment. So what? I don't have that much food, but I got 100 pieces of pig iron. Lin Meiwei tilted her head back arrogantly, hands on her hips. Mizuki, you're amazing too. Of course. Aya, what about you? I'm about the same as you guys. At this moment, Rona, who was standing in the right corner, closed her spatial backpack and said loudly to the women, All right, everyone quiet down. Hand over all the supplies you just got, and I'll distribute them. Okay. Everyone responded in unison, and then opened a private chat box to send the supplies from their backpacks to Rona. The supplies were quickly collected, and Rona looked at the list of supplies on the virtual screen with a look of astonishment. 1,200 servings of food, 811 pieces of pig iron, 100 pieces of obsidian, 730 pieces of charcoal, 530 bottles of mineral water, and 130 weapons. This so much. After her initial surprise, Lorna quickly calmed down and began planning how to allocate the supplies. She turned her head and saw Lin Feng, who had just gotten up, walking towards her. Lin Feng, come take a look at how these supplies should be distributed. Lin Feng leaned closer, his gaze sweeping over the list of supplies. After a moment's thought, he said, Distribute the food according to each person's basic daily needs, and keep the rest as reserves. Pig iron, obsidian, and charcoal are managed centrally. Bottled water was distributed as needed, while weapons were allocated based on the team members' combat abilities and requirements. Luona nodded and began to distribute the items methodically, following Lin Feng's suggestion. The female team members stood around, their eyes filled with excitement and anticipation. Mizuki, here is your food ration and weapons. Lin Meiwei accepted it with a delighted expression. Thank you, Sister Luona. Yu Yao, this is yours. Soon, the distribution was completed, and the female team members began to organize their own supplies. Afterwards, they immediately took out their food and began to eat heartily, with smiles on everyone's faces. Aya, Lin Meiwei, Weiwei, Luona, Du Lily, and Yu Yao sat in a circle, chatting happily and exchanging food. Since there were many kinds of food, and everyone received different items, they started exchanging them with each other in order to try more flavors. Despite being in the middle of it, Luo Na would occasionally glance at Lin Feng sitting on the iron bed. She knew in her heart that Lin Feng had a large number of vouchers in his backpack, but she knew in her heart that she had neither the right to interfere nor the courage to say more. After all, Lin Feng was an indispensable backbone in this team. After a while, Lorna walked up to Lin Feng and asked, Lin Feng, what do you think we should do next? Should we stay in the Iron House or go out to find more resources? Chapter 84 Dozens of Rooms? A Level 4 Iron House. Lorna, things are so chaotic outside right now. If you ask me, we'd better not go out. Luona stood there for a moment and agreed with Lin Feng's suggestion, but then she seemed to have thought of something. Lin Feng, do you think the monster will come here again today? This, Rona's sudden reminder, made Lin Feng's mind go blank. He then quickly opened the chat group and saw that the number of survivors was still 52,000. He stood there stunned for a moment. No way. There are only so few people left. They all died overnight. What on earth happened outside yesterday? Deep doubts and uncertainty made his body grow colder and colder. With so many people dead, there must be a lot of monsters coming to his iron house today. Damn it, they really don't leave anyone any way to survive. Not long after, Lin Feng said to Luona, Luona, you go back first. I'll think about it more carefully. Seeing that Lin Feng's expression was not quite right, Luona responded and left. Then, Lin Feng opened the Iron House upgrade button, and the interface displayed, the Iron House upgrade conditions have been met. Do you want to upgrade? Yes, no. Never mind. Let's upgrade the Iron House to level 4 first. Then, he stood up and said to everyone stand up and stand close together. I'm going to upgrade the Iron House. Upon hearing this, the female team members quickly gathered together. Then, he clicked yes directly. Beep beep beep. Upgrade requirements met. Beep beep beep. Iron House under inspection. Upgrade of the Iron House will begin soon. Warning, warning. All personnel inside the Iron House, please stand in an open area. Note, the upgrade will be quite noisy and take a long time. Those inside the metal building are advised to take necessary safety precautions. The next moment, the entire Iron House was instantly activated. At first, a low humming sound came from inside the Iron House walls. As the sound grew louder, the ground trembled slightly, and everyone inside could feel the vibrations beneath their feet. Everyone stand firm, Lin Feng shouted. The female team members huddled together, their faces filled with tension and anticipation. Immediately afterwards, bright light shone from the 4 walls of the Iron House, spreading rapidly along the patterns on the walls to form more complex designs. At the same time, the grooves on the iron gate shimmered with blue light. Boom! A loud noise rang out as the iron roof slowly rose. The originally solid ceiling seemed to be pulled by an invisible hand, constantly rising higher and higher, with rubble and dust falling down with a bang 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 sound. This commotion is huge, Lin Meiwei exclaimed. As the roof rises, the space in the Iron House rapidly expands, and the originally narrow room becomes spacious. But this is just the beginning. The iron gate made a dull sound and slowly deformed, gradually revealing grooves on its smooth surface. Before long, 30 grooves were neatly arranged on the iron gate, gleaming. What's that? Aya shouted, pointing above the iron gate. Following the direction she pointed, everyone saw a palm-sized iron railing slowly taking shape, thus giving the Iron House a window to observe the outside world. At this moment, the walls of the Iron House are also changing. The originally solid steel walls became thicker, and fine textures appeared on the surface. Soon, under everyone's watchful eyes, one side of the Iron House expanded outwards, New rooms appeared one after another. The walls extended rapidly, and the layout gradually became clear. Wow, there are so many more rooms. Dudidi exclaimed in surprise. At the same time, a strong tremor came from the bottom of the iron house, and the ground sank, as if the iron house was about to be embedded deeper underground. The gravel and soil were squeezed to the side, and the sound was huge. Everyone be careful, Rona shouted. Amidst the chaos, the second floor of the iron house appeared. A new floor slab slowly descended from the top, perfectly connecting with the first floor, increasing the number of rooms and making the space even more spacious. Isn't this just a small fortress? Vivi said. As upgrades continue, the iron house's appearance has undergone a dramatic transformation. Its movements triggered a reaction in the surrounding environment, causing the cave walls to collapse and boulders to tumble down continuously. The iron house, like a powerful living entity, broke free from the constraints of the cave. The cave is about to collapse. An energy shield rose around the iron house, deflecting the falling rocks and dirt, and stood firm amidst the chaos, continuously upgrading itself. As time goes on, the upgrade speed increases. The new rooms are constantly being improved, with furniture and facilities automatically generated, including a kitchen, bedroom, and storage room. Soon, the upgrade of the iron house entered its final stage. The entire iron house emitted a dazzling light, as brilliant as the sun, making it impossible to look directly at it. Bathed in light, every detail of the iron house was continuously improved. Boom! With a final loud bang, the iron house upgrade was complete. What was originally a dilapidated and cramped iron house has now been transformed into a grand two-story building. The large iron bed that Lin Feng always slept on was surrounded by square iron walls, forming a separate room, and the iron railings were transformed into a thick iron door. Click! Lin Feng opened the iron door and walked in. After a quick inspection, he found that the iron bed hadn't changed much, except that it looked thicker. The women stood there dumbfounded, staring at the dramatic changes to the iron house, too shocked to speak. As the owner of the iron house, Lin Feng put his hands behind his back and nodded with satisfaction. Not bad, not bad. He then walked around inside the iron house, with the female team members following closely behind, watching his back with complicated expressions. At that moment, they all longed to become the mistress of this place. Lin Feng quickly surveyed the first floor. There were 10 rooms in total, each with an iron bed and spacious enough for 2 people to live in. Then, he went up to the second floor. There are 5 small rooms here, much smaller than the rooms downstairs. To Lin Feng's surprise, the iron beds here were bunk beds, and 8 people could live in one room. Standard dormitory accommodations? You can do that. Chapter 85 Room Assignment? Malice. Just as Lin Feng was in astonishment, he saw Luo Na step forward and come to his side. Lin Feng, how do you plan to arrange these rooms? Luo Na asked softly, looking very anxious. Upon hearing this, Lin Feng fell into a brief silence. Not long after, he turned his head and saw the female team members with pleading expressions on their faces. He knew perfectly well that every one of these women wanted to sleep in those 10 spacious rooms. Ahem, let's go down first and talk about it later. With that, Lin Feng took the lead and walked down the stairs, followed closely by the women. Soon, everyone went down to the first floor. Lorna directed the women to stand in neat rows. Upon closer inspection, the female team members stood up straight, striving to show off their curvaceous figures. Lin Feng's eyes widened at the sight, and he couldn't help but sigh inwardly. Seriously, these women's figures are all amazing. I want them all. Quite a while. Lin Feng, you can make the arrangements now. Everyone will follow your orders. As Luo Na spoke, she stood down next to Lin Feng, feeling a little nervous. Good. Then, Lin Feng glanced at the women and said, Now, those whose names I call, stand behind me. Don't be discouraged if your name isn't called. I prepared 4 large rooms, and whoever behaves well in the future can live downstairs. Did you understand? Understood. The women shouted in unison, looking at Lin Feng with serious expressions. Clearly, they had already regarded Lin Feng as the highest leader of the team. Seeing this, Luo Na showed no emotion on her face, but instead smiled with satisfaction. All right, let's begin roll call. Lorna. Exist. Lin Meiwei. Oomph. At least you still have some conscience. Dudidi. Exist. Yu Yao. Yay. Great. We get a big room. Lin Feng, I love you. Uh, Everyone was stunned for a moment, then shook their heads helplessly. Wei Wei. Exist. Aya. Lin Feng shouted loudly, his voice echoing in the space. Me, and me too. Aya's eyes widened, her face filled with disbelief as she stared blankly at Lin Feng, as if she wanted to confirm again and again that she hadn't misheard. Come out, Aya. Lin Feng's gaze fell on Aya, and he spoke again. Okay. Aya seemed to snap out of a daze, hurriedly responding and staggering forward, looking both excited and nervous. After the roll call ended, Lin Feng looked up and glanced at the remaining women again. All right, everyone else, go upstairs and choose your rooms. It's getting late, so get ready and go to sleep. Yes. The women responded in unison. Although they were somewhat disappointed, they did not show it on their faces. After all, they all knew their own status and dared not overstep their bounds in the slightest. Soon, the once bustling scene was quickly reduced to just Lin Feng and a few women. All right, you should all go back to sleep. I'm a little tired, so I won't keep you company any longer. As Lin Feng spoke, he rubbed his temples, looking slightly tired. Seeing this, the women knew that Lin Feng was very tired. After responding softly, they turned and left. Afterwards, the girls began to choose rooms, while Lin Feng quietly stood aside, keeping his eyes wide open and memorizing who went into each room. I'm going to be busy tonight. I'll try some new flavors today and test my new abilities. A malicious smile appeared on Lin Feng's face as he secretly plotted something. TSK, TSK, TSK. Who should we choose? Rona? No, she's already tried it, even if we didn't go all the way to the last step. Yao? Never mind, she seems the easiest one. Lin Feng pursed his lips and continued to ponder in his mind. That leaves only Wei Wei. She has a strong personality, which seems more challenging. Thinking of this, a glint of excitement flashed in Lin Feng's eyes. Okay, she's the one. Then, Lin Feng took a deep look at the fifth room from the front, opened his iron door, and walked into the room. The first thing that catches the eye is a small, isolated lamp tightly wrapped in wire mesh above, emitting a dim, yellowish light that makes the entire space appear somewhat dark. Above the iron wall, directly in front of the iron bed, there was a clear projection of time. 12:30. Lin Feng murmured softly, his brows furrowing tightly. It's been past 12 o'clock for ages? No, why didn't I hear the monster banging on the door? And the sound of an earthquake, too. Filled with doubt, he quickly went to the iron gate of the living room and scanned the small iron mesh through it, trying to find some clues. A moment later, the surroundings were so quiet you could almost hear your own heartbeat, and Lin Feng's expression grew increasingly grave. That's strange. He spoke again, his voice echoing in the empty space, but received no response, which only added to the eerie atmosphere. View information. Iron gate durability, 100. Note, if durability drops to 20, please repair the iron gate as soon as possible. Iron gate energy remaining, 100%. The iron house is currently undergoing automatic protection. Do you activate powerful defense. Tip. The automatic protection system automatically absorbs the energy required from the outside air, effectively concealing its presence. Activating powerful defense will consume energy. The time required to replenish it will be calculated based on usage. No wonder. So that's where the problem lies. Seeing the message, hidden aura, Lin Feng felt a weight lifted from his heart, followed by a surge of joy. It seems that no monsters will come to break down the door anymore. I can finally get a good night's sleep. Also, the stamina information has been changed to a percentage, and the strength information is listed separately. It seems that as the iron house is upgraded, the information on the control panel is also being improved. Including the food I took out from the intermediate food generator during this period, I have gained 20 points of agility and 110 points of strength, which is already quite good. Without thinking further, Lin Feng turned to return to his room, but in that instant, a scarlet, evil eye flashed past the iron door, staring intently at his back. Bang! Lin Feng suddenly stopped, a look of horror on his face. 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds, whoosh. He turned around abruptly. There's nothing there? Or am I just imagining things? Just now, the instant Lin Feng turned around, he vaguely sensed something staring at him from behind the iron bars, which sent a chill down his spine. Chapter 86. The Ghostly Shadow. Something's not right? Something's not right. Gurgle. Lin Feng's swallowing sounds were quite loud in the quiet iron house. His feet were rooted to the spot, and he remained motionless. Lin Feng looked around for a while longer, and only after confirming that there was nothing unusual did he slowly turn around. The next second, a chilling sensation surged up his back again, like ice clinging tightly to his skin. Damn, what the hell? Come out here. As he spoke, he quickly turned around and swung his machete forcefully. Soon, huff huff, Lin Feng was panting heavily, his eyes filled with unease. Could we have encountered something unclean? No way. We haven't seen any other dangers here besides monsters and mutated creatures. Lin Feng prepared to use his prediction ability to see what would happen. He then closed his eyes and mobilized his mental energy. In the future, a blurry, flickering scene unfolds from a godlike perspective. Lin Feng stands alone, his eyes closed. He turned around, and in the iron gate, a pair of eerie, scarlet eyes stared intently at his back. Zooming in the shadows, one can vaguely see it grinning, its face pale and wrinkled, releasing a white mist resembling that of a misty forest, attempting to penetrate the iron bars, but blocked by the protective function of the iron house. It's a human face. It's a human face. It's crowding the iron bars, getting closer and closer. The scene continued to flash, accompanied by constant noise. 1 second, 10 seconds, 30 seconds. It just quietly smiled as it watched Lin Feng's back. Approximately 2 minutes. Thump. Cough cough. Lin Feng collapsed to the ground with a heavy thud, coughing violently. After a while, he suddenly turned around, quickly closed the iron gate, and ran wildly towards his room. Back in his room, he jumped onto the bed and leaned against the iron wall. View mental information. 8 p.m. Please stay calm. Recovering. What is this thing? Lin Feng recalled the information the system's sprite had given him at the beginning. Return to your room before sunset. Leave at noon. It seems I need to rethink this survival world. Since there are monsters and mutated creatures, it's not surprising that such strange things appear. But how do we deal with this kind of thing? Or does it only appear at night? There's no need to worry about it suddenly appearing during the day while we're searching for supplies. At that moment, he glanced at the time, 3 o'clock. Without thinking further, Lin Feng arrived at the door of the 5th room. His face was still somewhat pale at this moment. Click! The door was opened gently. Lin Feng went inside. The first thing I saw was Wei Wei fast asleep, like an octopus. Her beautiful figure was thus revealed without reservation. No way. This girl doesn't sleep well at all. Lin Feng quietly closed the iron gate and then sat on her bed. Wake up! Wei Wei, wake up! Lin Feng whispered. Ooh, whoosh! Startled awake, Wei Wei abruptly sat up. Then, she pointed the dagger at the figure in front of her. Don't be nervous, it's me, Lin Feng. Lin Feng said with a smile, trying to ease the tense atmosphere. Lin Feng, what are you doing here? Wei Wei looked closely and found that it was indeed him. She then put the dagger into her spatial backpack and asked in confusion. Nothing. I just suddenly missed you and came to see you, As he spoke, a sly glint flashed in Lin Feng's eyes, and he secretly used the chaos ability on her. The next second, miss me? What? No, what are you talking about? Lin Feng? I'm a little dizzy. Wei Wei held her head in her hands and shook it violently, her hair becoming completely disheveled. This effect is quite good. Lin Feng revealed a wicked expression and stopped using the chaos ability. Wei Wei recovered from her confused state and looked at Lin Feng again. Her face showed no emotion whatsoever, remaining calm as still water, as if she had completely forgotten her earlier erratic behavior. Huh? Lin Feng, what did you just say? Wei Wei blinked and asked with a blank look. Wei Wei, I've actually liked you for a long time. As he spoke, Lin Feng grasped her hands and looked at Wei Wei with serious eyes. This isn't Lin Feng. Why are you acting like this all of a sudden? I'm not used to it. A blush instantly spread across Wei Wei's face, and a hint of panic appeared in her eyes. Wei Wei, do you like me? His eyes were fixed on Wei Wei, unblinking. At this moment, Wei Wei completely lost her usual arrogant and haughty attitude. Now, however, she was like a shy little woman, stammering, her cheeks flushed, her eyes lowered, not daring to meet Lin Feng's gaze. So it was all an act all along. She's actually had a crush on me for a long time. Lin Feng thought to himself, and the next second he used his ability, excitement, again. Instantly, Wei Wei seemed to be ignited, her mouth wide open in a wide grin. Her eyes widened, and she grabbed Lin Feng's arms tightly. Lin Feng, I like you too. I've been hiding it for a long time, but I was afraid you would reject me. Really, I like you so much. I like you so much. I like you so much. Wei Wei said, I like it several times in one breath, leaving no one to get a word in edgewise. No, this is so exciting. Lin Feng was momentarily stunned by Wei Wei's fervor, but isn't this exactly what I wanted? Then, he stood up and looked down at Wei Wei like a ruler, saying, Take off your gear, you witch. I'll make sure you're done for. Yes. Soon. In the darkness, Lin Feng opened his eyes from his sleep, his face full of confusion. Something's not right. I seem to be acting strangely. This isn't the usual me. Could it be? Could it be? It was caused by it. Lin Feng's voice unconsciously rose a few decibels. That's right. Chapter 87, The Ability of Strange. Lin Feng and Wei Wei. Then, Lin Feng looked tense and quickly checked his mental information, staring intently for a long time without blinking. 25 points. Please stay rational. It's dropping. 28 points. Please remain calm. Recovering. 26 points. Please remain calm. The price is dropping. 27:00. Please remain calm. Recovering. 28 points. Please remain calm. Recovering. It really was affected by that strange thing. Lin Feng frowned, his expression grave. However, were its attack methods? Could they be mental? As he pondered, the surroundings were so quiet that he could hear his own heartbeat, and Lin Feng's face grew increasingly gloomy. It seems so, otherwise my mental state wouldn't be so abnormal. After observing for a while, Lin Feng noticed that although the values sometimes decreased, the overall trend was still upward. He then stopped paying attention, let out a soft sigh of relief, reached out and hugged Wei Wei beside him, adjusted to a comfortable position, and began to sleep. At this time, outside the Iron Gate, night fell over the land, and the moonlight was obscured by thick, dark clouds, with only a few faint and eerie rays of light shining through. A pair of scarlet eyes remained silently fixed on Lin Feng's Iron Gate. Not far behind it, a dozen or so cold corpses lay scattered about, each face frozen with a variety of different expressions. Their eyes were wide open, their pupils dilated, as they witnessed an exceptionally terrifying scene in their final moments. Some of the corpses had contorted faces and mouths wide open. Some had tears of terror streaming down their faces, leaving streaks on their pale skin. Some had stiff facial expressions. Scattered monsters ran aimlessly all around, their figures appearing and disappearing in the darkness. These monsters have transformed into various shapes. Some are enormous and covered in sharp spikes, while others are hunched over with their limbs twisted into bizarre angles. Some have sharp fangs and drip with nauseating mucus. Their footsteps were chaotic and disorderly, a stark contrast to the deathly silence of the corpses on the ground. Occasionally, they would let out a low growl, the sound echoing through the desolate area, sending chills down one's spine. In the forest, hundreds of survivors struggled to run forward in the darkness. Don't want. I'm so scared, so scared. Their footsteps, panting, and terrified cries mingled together, and every face showed fear. Sweat soaked their clothes, and their hair clung messily to their cheeks. Help! Stop chasing me! Stop chasing me! A young woman was shouting at the top of her lungs. She ran desperately, tripping over branches and stones every now and then, but she ignored the pain, quickly got up, and kept rushing forward. A middle-aged man, panting heavily, ran while looking back, his eyes filled with fear. This damn thing! Why is it chasing us like this? Behind the survivors, the roars of the monsters grew closer. Their figures darted among the trees, stirring up a chilling wind. The branches were broken, and the leaves fell one after another. Splash, splash. Suddenly, a monster darted out from the bushes and pounced on the last survivor. He had no time to dodge and was pounced on by the monster. Help me, but the others didn't dare look back. They could only run even faster. The next day, a sharp scream suddenly shattered the morning's tranquility. Wei Wei stared wide-eyed in horror at Lin Feng, her face instantly contorting with rage. Lin Feng, what are you doing in my room? Lin Feng rushed over in a fluster, saying, Wei Wei, shut up right now, while trying to cover Wei Wei's mouth. Wei Wei struggled violently, making indistinct noises. You bastard, let me go. At this moment, Lin Feng quickly took out a piece of beef jerky from his spatial backpack, stuffed it directly into Wei Wei's mouth, and then tightly covered her mouth again. At first, Wei Wei was still struggling desperately, but the aroma of the beef jerky instantly filled her mouth. Her body stiffened slightly, and she subconsciously began to chew. Seeing that Wei Wei had calmed down a bit, Lin Feng slowly released his grip, let out a long sigh of relief, and said, "My goodness, you almost scared the soul out of me." Wei Wei swallowed the beef jerky in her mouth and glared angrily. "Lin Feng, explain yourself clearly. What exactly is going on? Why are you in my room? And what's with the red stain on the sheets?" Lin Feng scratched his head, looking embarrassed, thinking to himself, is this girl really that naive? She doesn't even know she's been defiled. Wei Wei, don't get agitated. Let me explain slowly. Last night, I had a nightmare, and in my daze, I ended up here. As for the red stain on the sheet, I have no idea. Did you get it from an injury you sustained before? Vivi didn't believe it at all. Do you think I'm a 3-year-old? Lin Feng quickly waved his hand. Really, Wei Wei, if I'm lying to you, may I turn into a big fat pig. Vivi crossed her arms and snorted coldly. Then tell me, why did you give me beef jerky? Don't think I don't know. That night, you used beef jerky to get Aya. No way, you saw it all? Of course. You went into a secluded room and chattered away for hours on end. Lin Feng blinked. I think I was sleepwalking that day. I don't know what happened. Wei Wei rolled her eyes at him. Keep making things up. Keep making things up. Oh, okay, Wei Wei, don't be angry. Anyway, we've already done it. I'll make it up to you later. After a moment of silence, Wei Wei and Lin Feng stared at each other for a long time. Compensation? How will you compensate me? Seeing this, Lin Feng's eyes lit up, knowing that she had accepted reality. He then smiled, opened his backpack, and selected several types of meat. 2 packs of pork jerky, 2 packs of beef jerky. Wei Wei pouted, but her expression relaxed a bit after she got the item. That's more like it. But if you ever dare to come into my room again, I'll teach you a lesson. Hee, Wei Wei. You took my things and you're still so stubborn. Snort. Wei Wei didn't speak and turned her head away from Lin Feng. In truth, she had already accepted reality, but she put on this act only to save face. Soon after, there was a knock on the door, and a voice came from outside. What's that noise? What's going on in there? Lin Feng and Wei Wei exchanged a glance, and immediately panicked. Chapter 88, Rona's Resignation. Lin Feng's Hesitation. Lin Feng, get up now. Wei Wei forcefully pushed Lin Feng away, then shouted towards the iron gate. It's okay, I was just exercising. Oh, I see. By the way, Wei Wei, have you seen Lin Feng? Vivi's eyes darted away, and she stammered, I didn't see it. Okay, then hurry up and get up. Good. At this moment, Rona, standing at the door, clearly sensed that something was wrong with Vivi. She frowned slightly, a hint of doubt in her eyes, and turned to leave. After a while, Lin Feng walked to the iron gate, slowly opened it, and looked out. After finding no one was around, he quickly returned to his room. Soon, Lorna knocked on the door again. Lin Feng. What's wrong, Rona? Oh, so you're here. I was just sleeping and didn't want to talk to you. You. Luo Na was speechless upon hearing this, and several black lines instantly appeared on her forehead as she silently cursed Lin Feng's attitude. Click! The door slowly opened, and Lin Feng stepped aside to let Luo Na into his room, then gestured for her to sit on the iron bed. Speak, what do you want from me? Lin Feng crossed his arms and looked at Luo Na with a puzzled expression. Here's the thing, I like to take everyone out for a look around in a bit, and maybe find some more supplies. Are you sure? It's very dangerous outside right now. I know, but I want to see if I can find some iron houses to upgrade my talent. By the way, what is your talent? Lin Feng asked curiously. Scent tracking is the ability to locate things around you within 10 minutes. Luo Na didn't hide anything and was very honest, clearly trusting Lin Feng a lot. Oh, okay then, I'll go with you. After a moment's thought, Lin Feng replied. Good. Upon hearing this, Lorna's expression brightened, and she quickly responded. After all, she knew that Lin Feng was very powerful, and with him by her side, the danger would be greatly reduced. And, Lin Feng, I'd like to discuss something with you. You say, exactly, I think you're the most suitable person to be the team leader. After all, you're the strongest. Lin Feng stared at Luo Na, who looked completely willing, and hesitated. To be honest, he didn't want to worry about so much. He initially joined the team to find helpers, although now his relationship with them has become much closer. But wait a minute. That's right. Now that I have the right, I can go ahead and make my hands on all the girls I want. But what if I don't want to worry about it? I need to think of a solution. Lin Feng was caught in a dilemma, and the expression on his face became complicated. After thinking for a short while, his eyes lit up, then he frowned and slowly said, Lorna, being a captain is not an easy job. It carries a heavy responsibility, and I'm afraid I can't shoulder it. Luo Na quickly said, Lin Feng, don't say that. Everyone has seen it during this time. Your ability and decision-making skills are the strongest among us. If you lead the team, we'll definitely go much further. Lin Feng sighed softly. Lorna, I understand what you mean, but I really just want to focus on improving my strength to deal with the dangers outside. Managing the team's mundane tasks distract me. Lin Feng, think about it. If we don't have a strong leader, it's easy for everyone to fall into chaos when facing difficulties and dangers. Can you bear to watch everyone fall into dire straits because they have no one to lead them? Lin Feng pretended to remain silent, lowered his head, and fell into deep thought. Lorna continued to persuade her. Moreover, you don't need to shoulder all the responsibility alone. We will all fully support and assist you. After a long while, Lin Feng raised his head, his gaze hardening. All right, Lorna, since you trust me so much, I'll give it a try. However, let me make this clear from the start. I could be the team leader, but you'll still be you. You'll still be in charge of the daily operations and assigning tasks, and I definitely won't cause you any trouble. After Lin Feng finished speaking, Luo Na, who had been overjoyed, felt increasingly uneasy as she listened, and stared blankly at Lin Feng, who was looking very serious. Upon seeing this, Lin Feng's eyes widened, and he nodded affirmatively at Luo Na. Lin Feng, I understand now, you just want to be a hands-off manager. You understand me so well. I'm a little embarrassed. After a moment of silence, Lorna seemed to have figured something out. She knew that her strength was too weak, and she was no longer suitable to be the leader of the group. Lin Feng was the best choice and could be everyone's support. All right, I'll manage it for you. In the future, if there are any important matters, I'll consult you. Otherwise, you can do whatever you want. Yes, that's good. Rona, you're awesome. As he spoke, Lin Feng gave her a thumbs up. Rona's lips twitched, but she didn't say anything more. Instead, she got up to inform the others. Soon, everyone had gathered on the first floor, and Lorna explained the reason beforehand. Lin Feng stood with his hands behind his back, looking at the expectant eyes of the female team members in front of him, and felt a sense of accomplishment. Then, he took a deep breath and said, Since everyone trusts me, from now on I will do my best to lead everyone to survive, find more supplies, and make us stronger. The women responded in unison. Captain, we believe in you. Yes. However, I want to make one thing clear first. Rona's power is second only to mine. In daily life, you will still follow her arrangements. Understand? Clear. All right. You all have 10 minutes to pack your things. We'll be leaving in a bit. Yes. Soon, the crowd dispersed, and Luo Na walked to Lin Feng's side. How was that? Everyone was very obedient, right? A smug smile played on Rona's face, her eyes filled with anticipation. Not bad. They all know how to grasp at straws. Lin Feng nodded slightly, his expression showing a hint of satisfaction. Of course, now that you have a level 4 iron house, it gives them a great sense of security. Tell me, who else would they listen to if not you? Lorna's words carried a hint of flattery, and her smile became even brighter. Rona, I didn't realize you were so direct. Lin Feng looked at Luo Na with a half-smile, his eyes filled with a hint of inquiry. Who told you to be my boss now? Of course I have to think about you. Luo Na gave Lin Feng a coquettish glare, a blush creeping on her face. Oh, as he spoke, Lin Feng stepped forward and immediately pulled her into a tight embrace. Lorna gasped, her face contorted with panic, her hands flailing wildly. Don't do that, Lin Feng. It wouldn't be good if the team members saw it. Don't be afraid. I know what I'm doing. I won't let them see it. Chapter 89 Luo Tian's Sneak Attack Ghost. Soon, all the female team members were ready to go. Lin Feng checked the time, 12:41. Let's go. Click. The iron gate slowly opened. Lin Feng and Luo Na were the first to walk out, followed closely by the female team members in neat steps. Tui, the smell of blood is so strong. As soon as they stepped outside, everyone smelled the blood and immediately showed disgust, covering their mouths and noses with their hands and frowning. Upon exiting the cave, one is greeted by a scene of mutilated corpses scattered across the ground, a horrifying sight that stretches as far as the eye can see. Scattered coupons could be seen lying on the ground. Lorna, you take everyone to collect these vouchers first. Okowo. Just as Lin Feng was about to use his perception ability to investigate the surrounding situation. Sudden, splash splash. A group of people dressed in black emerged from the nearby dense bushes like ghosts, quickly approaching the group. You little brat, you really kept us waiting. Papa to die. Lin Feng instantly became alert, shielding Luo Na and the female team members behind him, and shouted loudly, "Who are you people?" Luo Tian sneered, "You killed our brothers and stole so many exchange coupons. Today we're here to pay for this debt in blood." "Ha, I bet you're just pretending to avenge your brother. What you really want are the vouchers. Enough with the nonsense, prepare to die." Luo Tian brandished his samurai sword and slashed at Lin Feng. Lin Feng dodged Luo Tian's attack by sidestepping, and then kicked Luo Tian in the abdomen. Bang! A dull thud rang out, and Luo Tian cried out in pain as he flew more than 10 meters away like a kite with a broken string before crashing heavily into a thick tree. Cough cough. That's incredibly strong. Brothers, let's attack together. Luo Tian roared, but a hint of cold laughter appeared in his eyes. Then, dozens of men dressed in black rushed forward and engaged in a fierce battle with Lin Feng and his group. Lin Feng was agile, dodging left and right while constantly counterattacking, knocking down one black-clad man after another. The female team members were not to be outdone. Although they were not as strong as Lin Feng, they fought back desperately. Mental entanglement. Taking advantage of the moment when the enemy was distracted by Lin Meiyue, Lin Feng wielded his machete like a whirlwind, slashing and killing one black-clad man after another before him, like chicks being slaughtered, utterly powerless to fight back. Soon, all the men in black fell to the ground. Lin Feng, stepping over the blood-soaked ground, approached Luo Tian and sneered. "Ha, you dare to come with this kind of strength? What were you thinking?" However, Luo Tian, who was being trampled under Lin Feng's feet, suddenly revealed a strange, cold smile. "Ha, just you wait. I won't let you get away with this." After saying that, Luo Tian's body vanished instantly. Lin Feng was surprised to see this. Then, in the next moment, Sasa, the sound of clothes rubbing together rang out. Upon hearing this, everyone turned to look, only to be horrified to find that all the men in black who had just been killed had vanished. What exactly is going on?" Rona asked, somewhat alarmed. Lin Feng's face turned extremely gloomy. He looked around, and his unease grew stronger. Suddenly, a sinister laugh echoed through the woods, its source impossible to discern. "Haha, you can't escape. You'll all become our prey." Upon hearing this, the female team members huddled together in fear. Lin Feng gritted his teeth and forced himself to remain calm, saying, "Playing tricks." However, the laughter grew closer and closer, as if something invisible was slowly approaching them. A female team member suddenly screamed as a deep scratch appeared on her arm, bleeding profusely. "What is this?" Everyone stared in horror at the wound that had appeared out of nowhere. Lin Feng gripped the machete tightly, his face grim, and quickly used his perception ability. In his mind's eye, he saw dozens of transparent humanoid figures slowly becoming clearer, each with a blank expression surrounding them. "This is a soul." Lin Feng looked surprised and suddenly opened his eyes. "Ouch, that hurts. My leg." The female team members were seen frantically slashing at the air with their weapons, their bodies being scratched by something mysterious. "Lin Feng, what is this? Could it really be a ghost? Should we go back to the Iron House?" Luo Na shook Lin Feng, her face pale. "They are indeed ghosts. They have surrounded us." "What?" After that, Lin Feng said nothing more, closed his eyes, and looked at the ghost that had already formed in front of him, raising its hands in preparation to attack him. Confusion. The ghost screamed instantly, its pale hands covering its head, while its transparent body flickered and appeared. Feasible. Lin Feng's face lit up with joy. He took the machete and slashed fiercely at it, feeling as if the blade was striking solid matter. Ah! The ghost screamed even more pitifully, trying to attack Lin Feng, but the chaos prevented it from doing so. After that, Lin Feng slashed 3 more times, and the ghost in front of him vanished with a poof. Yeah, that's all. I thought it was something more impressive. At this time, in the woods, Luo Tian, who was hiding, looked at the scene in front of him with a face full of shock. Ow, how'd he find out? And how did he manage to attack? A moment of silence. How is this possible? Impossible. Then, Luo Tian quickly opened his talent information. Soul capture. It can collect the souls of the dead and extract them to use as puppets. Energy is absorbed from each body, and the soul lasts for 10 minutes. Note, the soul is most vulnerable to mental attacks. Could it be that Lin Feng's talent lies in a mental aspect? Hold! After letting out a loud roar, Luo Tian slammed the now-dulled teleportation talisman item in his hand onto the ground. Lin Feng's attack seemed to ignite a war, enraging the surrounding ghosts, who let out even more shrill howls. Lin Feng, how did you manage to attack them? Lin Meiyue's voice was choked with sobs, and the weapon in her hand trembled incessantly. Mizuki, don't be afraid. Try using your mental entanglement on the area in front of you. Who should it be used on? There's no target. It's okay, just try it out. Good. Then, Lin Meiyue activated mental entanglement in front of her. Sizzle, sizzle. A pale face of a spirit appeared 1 centimeter in front of her. Ah, a ghost. Lin Meiyue was clearly caught off guard. Lin Feng was also startled. Bang! He slashed fiercely with his sword, then shouted to the crowd behind him. Don't be afraid, everyone. I've found their weakness. When this thing reveals itself, attack it together. Good. Clear. The female team members did as instructed, huddling together closely. At this moment, the ghosts began to attack frantically, each strike carrying a chilling aura. Confusion. Sleepy. Confusion. Lin Feng continuously used the chaos skill, and their figures appeared and disappeared in the air. Seeing this, the female team members turned from fear to anger and began to slash. So, it was you freaks who ambushed us. I'll kill you. I'll kill you. As Lin Feng watched each of the female team members fight fiercely, he began to increase the frequency of using confusion and drowsiness. In a short while, all the ghosts vanished into nothingness. Phew, it's finally solved. Lin Feng let out a long sigh, raised his hand to wipe the sweat from his forehead, and then checked his mental information. 11 p.m. Recovery. Splash, splash. At that moment, in the woods not far away, a figure was seen running backward in a panic. It was clearly the defeated Luo Tian. Damn, that kid. He ran pretty fast. Lin Feng cursed as he looked in the direction Luo Tian had gone. Chapter 90 Exploration. Ghost. Lin Feng. That guy ran away. Should we chase after him? Rona looked anxious, her eyes filled with resentment, and asked impatiently. Lin Feng frowned, pondered for a moment, and then said, Forget it. Don't pursue a cornered enemy. Let's figure out what's going on first. Why so many souls suddenly appeared. Everyone nodded, their faces still showing lingering fear. Lin Meiyue said timidly, Lin Feng, are there any other dangers? I'm not at ease. Her voice trembled slightly, and her hands unconsciously gripped the hem of her clothes. Don't worry too much. Everyone, stay alert. Let's look for any clues first. Good. Then, everyone began searching the surroundings. Lin Feng squatted down, carefully observing the marks on the ground and the surrounding environment, not missing any detail. Soon, Lin Feng discovered some strange symbols under the big tree where Luo Tian had just been. The symbols were deeply engraved on the tree trunk, exuding an eerie aura. Lin Feng frowned, his mind filled with doubt. Lorna leaned closer, examined it carefully, and said, It looks like some kind of curse mark. A moment of silence. It seems that Luo Tian's talent is quite troublesome. Lin Feng's face grew increasingly gloomy as he pondered to himself. Yes. As Lorna recalled the scene from just now, her body trembled slightly. Let's go. Let's get out of here first. Lin Feng stood up and dusted himself off. Good. Afterwards, Lin Feng led the group toward the Iron House complex they had found the day before. Throughout the journey, everyone remained silent, creating a tense and oppressive atmosphere. Upon arriving at their destination, Rona made some orderly arrangements, and then everyone dispersed. Those who could upgrade their talents searched for the Iron House, while those who couldn't upgrade searched for the remaining exchange coupons nearby. Lin Feng, carrying his weapon, walked toward the most densely packed iron houses in the center, intending to thoroughly investigate the area and see if any survivors remained. After that, Lin Feng cautiously moved between the iron houses, his footsteps extremely light, trying not to make a sound. Soon, about a kilometer from his original location, he heard a faint sound, like someone whispering. Lin Feng stopped and listened intently, but the sound had vanished again. Could it be my imagination? Lin Feng muttered to himself, a hint of doubt rising in his mind, but he gripped the machete in his hand even tighter. He continued walking forward and came to a level 2 iron house, where he saw the iron door slightly ajar. That sound just now seemed to have come from here. Lin Feng curiously opened the iron gate in front of him and immediately saw a man's corpse with a hideous and twisted face inside the iron house, with about a dozen exchange coupons scattered on his body. Was he scared to death by something? Lin Feng gasped, his mind filled with doubt. Then, Lin Feng carefully approached to examine it, moving slowly and quickly putting the voucher into his spatial backpack, preparing to leave. Just then, the whispering sound rang out again, this time clearer, as if right next to his ear, the voice sinister and terrifying, sending chills down his spine. "Who's there? Show yourself!" Lin Feng shouted loudly, his voice echoing in the empty iron house. However, he was met with only deathly silence. Lin Feng's heart began to race, the pounding of his heart echoing in his ears. His face gradually paled, and he felt an invisible pressure enveloping him, making it almost impossible for him to breathe. Suddenly, the iron door behind him slammed shut with a loud bang, plunging the room into darkness. At this moment, Lin Feng felt a chill run down his spine. He turned around abruptly and saw a woman with long hair, covering her face, looking down at him with a smile. In the dim light, he could vaguely see half of her pale face, rotting and emitting a foul stench. "Call!" The female ghost's rotting face instantly drew closer, magnified, and her terrifying features were right in front of him. Holy crap! Lin Feng felt a chill rush from the soles of his feet to his head, causing his eyes to widen, cold sweat to pour down his face, and his body to tremble uncontrollably with fear. It's her. It's her. It's definitely her. The one who was at my iron gate last night. Lin Feng's heart stopped beating at that moment. He tried to back away, but found that his legs were as if they were being pressed down by lead weights, and he could not move an inch. The female ghost let out a sinister laugh. "Wah, you're here." Lin Feng suppressed his fear and asked in a trembling voice, Who exactly are you?" The female ghost slowly raised her hand, a rotten hand revealing stark white bone. She gently brushed aside the long hair, covering her face, revealing a pair of blood-red eyes that stared directly at Lin Feng. "I am a cursed, vengeful spirit, here to claim your life." Lin Feng gritted his teeth, trying to calm himself down. "Take my life? I have no grudge against you. Why do you want to take my life?" The female ghost's laughter grew increasingly eerie. "No grudges or hatred. Everyone on this land is guilty. They all deserve to die." Cold sweat poured down Lin Feng's forehead as he gripped the machete tightly. "Don't do anything reckless, or I won't be polite." The female ghost seemed to have heard a huge joke. "You?" Lin Feng instinctively swung his knife, only to find that the knife passed right through the female ghost's body, causing her no harm whatsoever. How is this possible?" Lin Feng's eyes widened in disbelief. He could clearly see it. The next second, the female ghost's hand was about to touch Lin Feng's face, and the putrid smell made Lin Feng almost suffocate. At this critical moment, Lin Feng instantly activated the Chaos ability. "What did you do to me?" The female ghost stopped moving, her body began to twist, and she covered her head with her pale hands, swaying from side to side. Seeing this, Lin Feng swung his machete again, only to find that he still couldn't hit the target. This filled him with dread. Why? Without thinking twice, he quickly went to the iron gate, opened it with trembling hands, and then ran desperately outside. As he ran, he kept looking back and saw the female ghost standing at the iron gate, glaring angrily at him, but he couldn't chase after her. Lin Feng was panting heavily, his mind still unsettled. Damn it, what the hell is she? And why can't I attack her? He didn't dare linger and continued running towards the outside of the iron houses, intending to find and meet up with Rona and the others. Along the way, the terrifying face of the female ghost kept flashing through Lin Feng's mind, making his steps become increasingly hurried. Soon, when he saw Rona and the others, he felt a little relieved. Lin Feng, what's wrong? Seeing Lin Feng's pale face, Luo Na asked with great confusion. Lin Feng was panting heavily, his face serious. Let's go. Back to the iron house. It's not safe here. We just encountered a female ghost. Upon hearing this, everyone's faces turned deathly pale. What female ghost? Lin Feng, are you sure you're not mistaken? You read that right. I confronted her for a while and found that I couldn't deal with her at all. Luo Na tried to calm herself down and said, Lin Feng, calm down first. Can you tell us the details? After Lin Feng gave a brief explanation, he noticed that it was already getting dark. As the flow of time sped up again. Everyone line up, get ready to go back. Yes. Chapter 91 Methods? Mental Interference. Soon, after everyone returned to the iron house, Rona collected the exchange coupons and then began to distribute today's supplies in an orderly manner. Those who received the supplies thanked the organizers and hurriedly returned to their rooms. Lin Feng sat on his iron bed, eating heartily while glancing at the time and realizing it was already 10 o'clock. It seems that time is flowing faster outside again. Lin Feng frowned slightly and muttered to himself. A moment of silence. After tonight, it will be the last day. I hope nothing else will happen. Lin Feng sighed softly, his eyes revealing a hint of weariness and worry. After finishing his meal, Lin Feng slowly laid down on the iron bed with his hands behind his head. In the dim light, his eyes flickered. That female ghost said that everyone who comes here is guilty? What does that mean? Weren't all the people from the Dragon Kingdom here? Does that mean they all deserve to die? And how was she born? Was she always here? Or did she form during some period of time for some reason? Just as Lin Feng was deep in thought, his mind filled with a jumble of questions. Bang, bang, bang. A series of urgent knocks sounded on the door. Come in. Then, Luo Na hurriedly walked in, gently sat on the iron bed, and looked at Lin Feng with a worried expression. Lin Feng, I don't know why, but I have a bad feeling about this. Rona frowned, her hands unconsciously twisting together. How so? That's right. What happened today made me realize that the world of survival is far more complicated than we thought. And today is the last day. I wonder what will happen next. Don't overthink it. As long as we don't leave the iron house, we'll be fine. What about that female ghost you mentioned today? What if she suddenly walks in? Lin Feng sat up slightly, looked at the terrified Luo Na, and said in a deep voice, Lorna, don't scare yourself. That female ghost is scary, but this iron house should be able to stop her. Lorna bit her lip, the fear in her eyes undiminished. But Lin Feng, what if this iron house can't hold her back either? Your attacks were ineffective against her today. What will we do if she really breaks in? Probably not. Lorna's hands were tightly clasped together. Lin Feng, I have a feeling there's a huge conspiracy behind this. Why did we come to this terrifying place? What did that female ghost mean by guilty? Did we really do something wrong? Lin Feng shook his head. I don't know, but I don't believe we were thrown here and subjected to this for no reason. Maybe it's some kind of cruel test, or maybe someone is manipulating all of this behind the scenes. Lorna's voice trembled slightly. If someone is manipulating things, what is their purpose? Is it just to watch us die one by one? No matter why, we must live on and find the truth. Tears welled up in Luo Na's eyes. Lin Feng, I'm so scared. I'm afraid I'll never see my family again, and I'll never be able to go back to our world. Seeing this, Lin Feng reached out and gently patted Luo Na's shoulder. Don't be afraid, Luo Na. Everything will be all right. A moment of silence. Lorna? 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 Lin Feng was puzzled. He noticed that she was not speaking and had her head tightly buried in his chest, just as he was about to push Luo Na away. Really? 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 He. A sinister voice rang in his ears. Call. Moment. Zoom in. Zoom in. Zoom in. Oh, the pale, rotting, distorted face suddenly magnified, coming face to face with Lin Feng. Holy crap! Lin Feng was terrified. He quickly pushed her away and retreated. Thump. Ouch. That hurts. Lin Feng, why did you push me? Rona slammed heavily against the iron gate, rubbing her head with her hand, looking aggrieved. No. Lin Feng rubbed his eyes, his face pale, and realized that it really was Luo Na, not the one he had just seen. What's going on? Am I hallucinating? But why did it feel so real just now? No. I think I'm being subjected to some kind of mental interference. It's it. What did it do to me? View mental information. 1 point warning. Warning. You are experiencing a continuous mental disturbance that may cause hallucinations that are both real and unreal. Please remain rational. Remain rational. Recovering. Tip. Immediately do something that makes you happy to counteract the interference and return to normal. This is a pleasant thing? Seeing this, Lin Feng looked at Luo Na on the ground, where she was slowly sitting back on the iron bed, supporting herself with her long, fair legs. Looks like I have no choice but to take you in today. Don't blame me. The system told me to do it. Lorna. Rona looked up at Lin Feng with a puzzled expression. Lin Feng's expression became somewhat complicated, causing Luo Na's heart to skip a beat. Lin Feng, why are you looking at me like that? Rona's voice carried a hint of unease. Lin Feng took a deep breath and said, Lorna, the situation is urgent, so I won't hide it from you. I just had a hallucination of a female ghost, and the system prompted me to do something pleasant to counteract the interference and return to normal. Lorna's eyes widened, her face flushed red. Lin Feng, you wouldn't. Lin Feng quickly explained, Luo Na, don't misunderstand, that's not what I meant. But given the current situation, there's nothing I can do. Rona bit her lip, lowered her head, and clutched the hem of her clothes tightly with both hands, not knowing what to do. Lin Feng also felt extremely embarrassed, but the continuous mental interference made his head start to ache. Lorna, please help me out, otherwise I really don't know what other terrifying hallucinations might occur. Seeing Lin Feng's deathly pale face and his apparent pain, which didn't seem like an act, Luo Na hesitated for a moment before nodding gently, her voice barely audible. Well, all right then. Lin Feng was overjoyed, but before he could take any action, the sinister voice rang in his ears again. You can't escape. Lin Feng was immediately terrified and grabbed Luo Na, saying, Quick, there's no time. Lorna was startled by his sudden action, but she didn't care about anything else and removed all her equipment. Upon seeing this, Lin Feng's pale face and his gradually turning bloodshot eyes formed a stark contrast. Whoosh! Instantly, the two embraced tightly. Luo Na's warm body temperature invigorated Lin Feng, and his complexion improved considerably. Lin Feng, I feel so cold. Lorna said, her voice trembling. Don't be afraid. It will be all right soon. Not long after, Lin Feng sat on the edge of the iron bed, panting heavily. He felt that his mind had returned to normal. View mental information. 61 points. Mental interference eliminated, currently recovering. At this time, before Lin Feng's iron gate, a white figure's body suddenly twisted. Oh, damn it. How did he erase the mark I left in his mind today? Chapter 92. The Ability of a Ghost. An abnormal man. Afterwards, Lin Feng wiped his body with a towel and turned to look at Luo Na. Since you helped me clear away the mental interference, I'll help you out too. Lin Feng cleaned very carefully, not missing a single speck of dirt, which made the unconscious Rona frown slightly. After it was over, Lin Feng immediately opened the chat group. Number of people, 32,100. I'm so scared. What's going on? Now that you've made it this far, what are you afraid of? You're leaving tomorrow. No, there's a ghost. A female ghost keeps appearing in front of me. I'm going crazy. I'm so scared. What female ghost? What are you talking about? I don't understand. Yes. The man's chat suddenly stopped. Lin Feng frowned upon seeing this. He knew this man had also fallen victim to the female ghost's mental interference. No, don't scare me. Please. No. What's wrong with you? Is this some kind of fun? I think he's just an idiot hyping himself up. Besides monsters and mutated creatures, there aren't any ghosts or anything like that here. Exactly. I've been in this survival world for 3 months, and I haven't encountered any, but you have. Ignore him. Let's talk about our own things. I'm not lying to you. That female ghost was terrifying. Her face was deathly pale and rotting, and blood was flowing from her eyes. Haha, keep making this up. It's getting more and more absurd. No, it's true. She suddenly appeared in front of me today, and I didn't even have time to react. I quickly ran out, thinking everything was all right, but for some reason, I saw her again in the iron house just now, even though she didn't chase after me. Okay, stop spreading alarmist rumors and ruining everyone's mood. Why don't you believe me? I really can't hold on much longer. Who knows if you're mentally unstable? Stop acting crazy here. I didn't. She's back again right behind me. Stop yelling. If you want someone to yell, yell at them alone. Don't shout in the chat group. Her hand is about to touch me. Help me. That's enough. Stop making a scene. No, she grabbed me. My shoulder hurts so much. This guy's definitely crazy. Ignore him. You'll regret it. You'll all regret it. Why is there no sound? Could something really have happened? Don't scare yourself. Maybe he's just faking it. But what if? There aren't that many what ifs. Don't overthink it. I still feel uneasy. It's giving me the creeps. Stop thinking about it. Just focus on leaving tomorrow. But if that female ghost really exists, can we leave safely? Stop talking nonsense and discouraging morale. I'm not making this up. I always feel like there's a pair of eyes watching us in the dark. Don't scare me. I'm naturally easily frightened. You might be the next one to encounter that female ghost. No. Haha, look how scared you are. Childish. Is playing pranks really fun? At this time, the man is inside the iron house. In the corner, a swaying figure squatted there, holding its head in its hands, staring with bloodshot eyes, its face as pale as paper, shaking its head and muttering something incessantly. Don't come any closer. Don't come any closer. You are guilty. You are guilty. Only death can bring you relief. Soon. Ding. Warning. Mental energy has dropped to minus 100 points. Please remain rational. Recovering. Ding. Recovery unsuccessful. Recovery was interfered with by strong mental interference. Please do something that makes you feel good as soon as possible. Ding. Recovery failed. Ding. Recovery failed. Ding. Recovery failed. Ding. Extensive brain tissue damage. Irreparable. Take care. No. The man suddenly looked up and roared, staring blankly at the pale, rotting face in front of him. His eyes were lifeless and numb, and his expression was dazed. Then, mama, mama, mama. Eat candy, I want to eat candy. The man's voice became extremely eerie, sometimes terrified and sometimes incoherent, sending chills down one's spine. Suddenly, he started laughing hysterically again, his hands moving as if controlled to send messages in the chat group. Haha, you all have to die. You all have to die with me. The people in the chat group were shocked when they saw the message. What on earth is going on? Has he really gone mad? This is terrifying. Could there really be a female ghost? Impossible. This must be a prank. It definitely is. But this is too realistic. I can't believe it. Come on. All of you come and play with me. Haha. Help. I don't want to hear this anymore. However, at this moment, inside the man's iron house, the female ghost figure became clearer and clearer. She slowly raised her hand and reached towards the man's throat. The female ghost, let out a sinister laugh. The man seemed to have lost consciousness, staring blankly at the female ghost, muttering, "Mommy, mommy." The female ghost gripped the man's neck tightly, and his face instantly turned bluish-purple, but he offered no resistance. Soon, the man's voice disappeared completely, leaving only the female ghost's chilling laughter echoing in the iron house. A filthy crawler. After an unknown amount of time, in the chat group, Is he dead? A long silence followed. Who knows? At this time, as the person who knew the most about this matter, Lin Feng, who witnessed everything from beginning to end, was also filled with doubts. He unconsciously tightened his grip on Rona's arm, his brow furrowed, lost in thought. From the onset of the psychological disturbance to the man's death, the entire ordeal lasted approximately 2 hours. So what puzzles me is how exactly did he die in the end? Was it a suicide due to a mental breakdown? Or did the female ghost do it herself? A moment of silence. No, the last message the man sent clearly showed he had gone mad, meaning he had absolutely no concept of suicide. then it can only be that female ghost who did it herself. Phew. Thinking of this, Lin Feng took a deep breath, trying to calm himself down. Chapter 93. The train is about to arrive. Power and desire. So, when a woman's mental strength drops to a certain level, she can break through the Iron House's defenses and get inside. Right now, the way to resist this mental interference is to do things that bring joy. It seems we need to protect these women in the Iron House properly. After thinking it over, Lin Feng glanced at the time, 11:59, only 1 minute left until the last day. Soon, it was 12 o'clock. Ring ring, ring ring, ring ring. A piercing sound, like an alarm clock, suddenly rang out in the Iron House without warning. Exactly the same sound that had been heard when everyone arrived on the first day. Immediately afterwards, all the survivors inside the Iron House were awakened. They sat on their beds and instinctively covered their ears with their hands. Soon, ding! Congratulations to the 32,000 survivors in this area for successfully completing 3 months of survival. The train will arrive here in half an hour. Survivors, please prepare yourselves. Note, survivors who have lost their way in the Iron House, but have found other survivors who allow them to live there will be marked by the system for the safety of the Iron House owner. Anyone who maliciously harms or deceives the Iron House owner will be immediately eliminated. The owner of the Iron House has the highest authority and can manage all outsiders. You can also assign a permission mark to each outsider, which includes Level 1 authority. Allows anyone except individuals to enter the Iron House. Can expel others. Grants levels 2, 3, 4, and 5 authority to outsiders. And can command all outsiders, but cannot intentionally harm them. 10 slots available. Level 2 authority. Can forcibly command all outsiders within the Iron House area. 20 people are allowed to enter the Iron House, excluding individuals, but they cannot intentionally harm anyone. 20 slots. Level 3 authority. Can command up to 10 outsiders within the Iron House area. Allows 15 people, excluding individuals, to enter the Iron House, but cannot intentionally cause harm. 50 slots. Level 4 authority. Can command up to 5 outsiders within the Iron House area. Allows 10 people, excluding individuals, to enter the Iron House, but cannot intentionally cause harm. 100 slots. Level 5 access control. Allows command of up to 1 outsider within the Iron House area. 5 people, excluding individuals, are permitted to enter the Iron House, but intentional harm is prohibited. 1,000 slots. Note, as the Iron House is upgraded, the number of slots will increase. Higher level privileges can command lower level privileges. The system considers that some Iron House owners are too evil and will give each Iron House loser only one chance to choose yes, no, to reassign Level 1 Iron House. Note, upgrade materials for the Iron House will be doubled after the reset. Normal upgrade materials will be required after Level 5. This offer is valid for 1 month. Since the transfer is taking place on the train, the Metal House will be temporarily retrieved and stored by the system. It will be randomly placed and returned upon arrival at the next destination. After reading the message, Lin Feng couldn't help but show a look of joy. This system really understands me. Now the women in the Iron House will have no choice but to obey me. Just as Lin Feng was secretly pleased, a knock came at the door. Lin Feng, Lin Feng. The newcomer's voice was gentle. Click. Lin Feng opened the door, his gaze instantly falling on Luo Na's face. Her eyes showed obvious reverence, but also a hint of barely perceptible worry hidden deep within. The expressions of the 20-odd female team members behind her varied, yet all were intertwined with awe and fear. Some of the female team members stared wide-eyed, their lips trembling slightly, hesitant to speak, too nervous to utter a word. Among them, a petite female team member was clutching the hem of her clothes tightly with both hands, her knuckles turning white. Her face was full of fear, her eyes darting around, and she dared not meet Lin Feng's gaze, for fear of displeasing him. There was also a female team member with a resolute face. Although she tried to remain calm, her slightly trembling chin betrayed her inner tension. After all, she desperately wanted to gain access to the Iron House. A stunning female team member with long, flowing hair and legs that rivaled Luo Na's, her forehead covered in fine beads of sweat, looked at Lin Feng with fervent eyes. The older female team member, standing at the back, had a complex look in her eyes, a mixture of expectation that Lin Feng would lead everyone to survive and worry that he might abuse his power. The 20-odd female team members stood quietly behind Luo Na, without uttering sound. Looking at their expressions, Lin Feng felt a strong sense of superiority welling up inside him. Ahem, regarding the allocation of authority in the Iron House, I will carefully evaluate you all during this period. Only those who satisfy me will be granted authority. I hope you will strive for it. Lin Feng emphasized the word satisfied. Yes, clear. The women's voices were much louder than usual, clearly indicating that they cared a lot about this matter. All right, you can all go back to your rooms now. Half an hour will be up, so just wait patiently. After saying that, Lin Feng turned around and closed the door. The female team members looked at each other, their eyes filled with complex emotions. Luo Na bit her lip, seemingly wanting to say something, but ultimately remained silent and led her female teammates away. Back in their rooms, the female team members were still deeply moved. The petite female team member, named Liz, plopped down on the bed, covered her face with her hands, and tears slipped through her fingers. What should I do? I'm so timid. Lin Feng definitely won't give me the authority. All right, Alice, stop crying. If you ask me, what Lin Feng said that satisfied him might be something else Other things? Lily, what are you talking about? I don't understand. At this moment, Lily glanced at the other girls in the room, and, finding that no one was paying attention to them, bent down and whispered something in Alice's ear. I think it should be like this. Alice blushed deeply, lowered her head, and replied shyly. That must be it. I wouldn't lie to you. Liz didn't answer, and it was unclear what she was thinking. In another room, the resolute-faced, aloof female team member named Yi Bingley paced back and forth, muttering to herself. I must perform even better and let Lin Feng see my value. I am determined to get this high-level access to the Iron House. The beautiful female team member with long, flowing hair was named Yaorao. She sat in front of the mirror, looking at her gorgeous face with great confidence. Lin Feng, I don't believe you don't care about me. Time passed quietly, and the female team members were filled with fear of the unknown next survival world, as well as worry about the access issues in the Iron House, and their hearts began to feel anxious. Chapter 94, The Mysterious Train? System Reward. Soon, half an hour had quietly passed. Spread. A blinding white light suddenly appeared in each room of the Iron House without warning. Before anyone could react, they instantly fell into a coma. Immediately afterwards, an incredibly powerful and irresistible suction force suddenly struck. Whoosh! With a strange sound, the Iron House and the survivors vanished without a trace under the influence of this mysterious force, as if they had never existed. I don't know how much time passed. Ring, 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 ring. Ouch! It's so heavy, what's pressing down on me? As he spoke, Lin Feng slowly opened his eyes, only to be met with complete darkness, thick as ink that could not be dissolved. He tried to push the stranger off him, but found himself in chaos, with screams and sounds of bodies colliding coming from the darkness. What exactly is going on? At that moment, he felt several hands pulling at him. Don't pull me. Lin Feng tried to stand up, but found himself surrounded by people and unable to stand up straight. Damn it, what kind of place is this? Lin Feng cursed. Just then, a powerful beam of light came from afar, and Lin Feng squinted and looked in the direction of the light. As the light gradually intensified, Lin Feng finally saw his surroundings clearly. Before their eyes, they found themselves in a huge space, surrounded by a dense mass of women, with only one man among them. Looking further ahead, they discovered that the other men and women were on the other side. He looked down at the strange woman still on top of him, who seemed not to be fully conscious. Get up first. Lin Feng gritted his teeth and forcefully pushed the woman away. The woman let out a soft moan, seemingly somewhat dissatisfied, but still slowly got up. At this time, the other passengers in the carriage also gradually woke up, and a cacophony of noise rose and fell. What on earth happened? Someone shouted in panic. Where am I? A sobbing voice rang out. Lin Feng took a deep breath, trying to calm himself down. Lin Feng. Here. Hearing the sound, Lin Feng turned his head and saw that it was Luo Na waving at him desperately. Behind her were several familiar people, including Yu Yao, Wei Wei, and Lin Meiwei. Their faces also showed confusion and unease. Without hesitation, Lin Feng pushed through the crowd and walked over with difficulty. Lorna, have the other team members been found? Yes, they're all here. That's good. Lin Feng, where is this? Why are there so many people here? Lin Maywell walked over, took Lin Feng's arm with both hands, and looked helpless. I guess it must be inside the train that the system was referring to. As soon as Lin Feng finished speaking, the surrounding crowd began to stir. Where exactly are we being led? I don't know, I just feel a little panicked. Will there be any danger? Various worries and questions filled the air, making the already tense atmosphere even more so. Just then, a loud voice rang out throughout the space. Welcome, survivors aboard the train. You are now en route to a new place of survival. Please maintain order throughout the journey. Failure to do so will result in severe punishment. The group exchanged bewildered glances, their unease growing stronger. Lin Feng looked in the direction from which the sound came, but he couldn't see anything. What exactly is going on? What is the new place of survival like? Yu Yao's voice trembled slightly. Lin Maywell gripped Lin Feng's arm tightly and said, Lin Feng, I'm scared. Lin Feng comforted him. Don't be afraid. I'm here. Clang, clang. The train slowly started moving, making a dull sound. As the train swayed, Lin Feng and the others also swayed slightly. Everyone be careful. Hold on tight, Rona reminded. Lin Feng glanced at the surrounding crowd, frowned slightly, and pondered something to himself. At this time, the scene outside. A massive, jet-black train, stretching as far as the eye could see, slowly rose into this world of survival, accelerating and accelerating until it reached the cosmos. Looking down, there was a gray planet. In the distance, space began to distort violently, and another train suddenly appeared. Lin Feng and the others were completely unaware of what was happening outside while inside the carriage. They clung tightly to whatever they could find for support, trying their best to maintain their balance. Outside the train, the massive, black train sped through the universe, leaving the surrounding stars behind. Looking out the train window, the gray planet appeared lonely and mysterious, devoid of any life. Another train suddenly appeared, streaking across the darkness like lightning, and instantly plunged into the atmosphere of the gray planet. The train's surface shimmered with an eerie light, contrasting sharply with the surrounding darkness. As it entered, the gray planet's atmosphere rippled, as if a heavy bomb had been dropped on it. The light from the train shone even brighter due to the friction of the atmosphere, like a falling comet. Before long, the train disappeared into the depths of the planet, leaving behind only lingering energy fluctuations. The train carrying Lin Feng and his companions began its journey through space toward an unknown destination. Immediately afterwards, the system's voice rang out again in the hall. The train will arrive in 3 days. As a reward for successfully completing the test, we are providing you with free food and water. You may only eat these. You may not take them out. Warning: fighting is strictly prohibited. Violators will be immediately eliminated. Okay, you're free to do as you please now. Free food and water. Where? Everyone on the train instantly became excited, and then the crowd dispersed to begin searching the space. Let's go take a look. Chapter 95, The Frenzy for Supplies. Human greed. But at that moment, the previously bright space suddenly turned completely dark without warning. Everyone stopped moving and instinctively looked up. As far as the eye could see, countless pieces of food and water were piled up densely in the air, forming a huge sphere. The sight was both spectacular and inexplicably terrifying. Moment. Splash, splash. The piled-up food and water began to fall like a burst dam. The speed of the fall was so fast that no one had time to react. Everyone was stunned by the sudden sight, and for a moment they seemed to be frozen in place, forgetting to dodge. Everyone, quickly find something to cover yourselves. Lin Feng was the first to recover from his shock, and he shouted loudly behind him. However, it was too late. Food and water rained down relentlessly. Ouch! Someone was hit and couldn't help but cry out in pain. Ouch! That hurts! In the chaos, screams filled the entire space as people fled in all directions, but there was nowhere to escape. Lin Feng tried to remain calm amidst the chaos. He pulled Luo Na and the others through the crowd to a relatively safe corner. All I could see was food and water were continuously thrown down, and the ground quickly piled up like a mountain. Some people were even buried underneath, struggling desperately to climb out. My goodness, this is insane. Lin Feng was shocked by the scene. Soon, realizing what was happening, the people stared wide-eyed and grinned, then began to excitedly devour the food. So good, so good. In this chaotic and spectacular scene, people were engulfed in a frenzied feast. Luo Na, who was standing next to Lin Feng, was initially a little stunned, but she was quickly infected by the atmosphere around her. She grabbed a piece of bread and took a big bite. Crumbs fell from her mouth, but she didn't bother to wipe them away. She then gulped down a mouthful of water, swallowing with a gurgling sound, her eyes filled with satisfaction and excitement. Not far away, a burly man pounced on the pile of food like a hungry tiger. He held a roast chicken in each hand, eating with gusto, his mouth dripping with oil, occasionally letting out a hee-hee laugh, as if he had forgotten all his troubles. A slender woman, who had initially appeared somewhat reserved, stopped caring about her image after seeing everyone so unrestrained. She sat on the ground, surrounded by various fruits. She picked up an apple and took a big bite, making a crunch sound as juice dripped down her chin. Lin Feng didn't hesitate any longer, picked up a piece of chocolate, and put it in his mouth. Then, he picked up a bottle of beverage and took big gulps of it. The cool liquid slid down his throat, making him feel incredibly refreshed. "Haha, this is so awesome!" Lin Feng exclaimed. In the crowd, a woman, whose originally obese body was now full of strength, lunged at a piece of cake, her eyes filled with madness. The entire space was filled with the sounds of chewing, swallowing, and laughter. Everyone reveled in this unexpected gift, temporarily forgetting their previous fears and anxieties. Some people were stuffing food into their pockets while eating, as if afraid the feast would suddenly end. Lin Feng looked at this crazy scene and was filled with mixed emotions. He knew that in this unknown world, such satisfaction might only be temporary, but at this moment, everyone was immersed in this fleeting joy. No matter what the future holds, let's eat our fill first. Lin Feng picked up another piece of meat and ate it in large bites. The aroma of food filled the air, and people's faces were covered with food scraps, but no one cared. Everyone was indulging their appetites, eager to make up for all the suffering they had endured. Time seemed to stand still at that moment, with only the frenzied eating continuing. However, accidents soon occurred, and many people choked due to their frantic eating. Cough, cough, cough. A chorus of coughs rose and fell. Those who were choking turned red in the face, clutching their necks tightly with both hands, struggling in agony. Luo Na, who was next to Lin Feng, suddenly stopped eating, clutched her chest, and gasped for breath. Lin Feng, I think I'm choking too. Lin Feng quickly handed him a bottle of water. Quick, drink some water to clear your head. Not far away, the burly man was in an even worse situation. His mouth was stuffed with food, he could not breathe, and his eyes were wide open, filled with fear. Help! Help! The people around began to panic. The frail woman was so choked up that her eyes rolled back, and she swayed precariously. In the chaos, people were too busy taking care of themselves to keep up, and the situation was briefly out of control. In a crowd, the originally obese woman collapsed to the ground unconscious because she ate too much and too fast. What are we going to do? Someone started to cry. Lin Feng knew that many people had never seen so many supplies in the survival world before. Now that they suddenly had an endless supply of food, it would be strange if they didn't go crazy. But as he thought about it, something felt off. Perhaps this was deliberately arranged by the system? Then its purpose would be obvious. Damn it, keep killing. You're exploiting people's greed. Lorna, gather all the team members here. Good. Soon, Luana found all the female team members and had them stand in a row in front of Lin Feng. Lin Feng looked at the female team members in front of him and said seriously, "Everyone, something's not right. What seems like a blessing might actually be a trap. The system exploits our greed, driving everyone into a frenzy of eating. You must stay calm. Do not become addicted." Yes, yes. The female team members looked at each other and answered loudly, their faces still showing lingering fear, clearly still shaken by what they had just witnessed. Lin Meiwei said timidly, "Lin Feng, what should we do? How can we possibly resist all this delicious food? We need to collect the food and distribute it properly. We can't keep eating like this blindly." Luo Na nodded quickly. "Everyone, listen to Lin Feng and get to work." Afterwards, the female team members dispersed and began collecting food around them. They stared wide-eyed, drool constantly dripping from the corners of their mouths, clearly trying their best to control themselves. Lin Feng stood aside, his brows furrowed as he watched the people choking to death in the distance. Just then, a cold voice suddenly rang out in the space. Haha, foolish survivors. This is the price you pay for your greed. This is just the beginning. The next 2 days hold even more trials for you. If you cannot pass them, you will all die here. The sound disappeared, leaving everyone bewildered and filled with fear and anger. Damn it, I should have known this damn system wasn't that kind of person. Chapter 96, Survival on the Power Grid. Hope for Life. Soon, the female team members collected the food and piled it together. Not far away, the chaotic noises gradually subsided, and the team leaders began to make arrangements, just like Lin Feng. At that moment, Rona walked over. She bit her lip tightly, looking very worried. Lin Feng, there are still 2 days of trials left. I don't know what dangers await us. Lin Feng patted Luo Na on the shoulder and comforted her. Don't worry too much. We'll deal with whatever comes our way. We've been through so much already. What's a little challenge to us? Lorna nodded slightly, but the worry in her eyes had not yet disappeared. However, the system is so ruthless this time. The food traps in the beginning have already harmed many people, and the trials that follow will probably be even more difficult to cope with. Alright, stop overthinking it. Tell the team members to stay alert and be ready to respond to any emergencies. Lorna sighed. By the way, Lin Feng, do you think we should team up with other teams? Maybe there's strength in numbers. Lin Feng pondered for a moment. Let's see how things go first. We don't know what the other teams are thinking or how strong they are yet. Joining forces rashly could cause more trouble. Just then, a female team member rushed over. Lin Feng, something bad has happened. Several team members are showing symptoms of illness. What happened? Take me to see it. They approached the team members and saw that they were pale, clutching their stomachs and groaning in pain. Lin Feng frowned. Was there something wrong with what we ate just now? No way. I didn't feel anything. They must have eaten too fast and too many different kinds of food just now, Rona said doubtfully. Let's give them some water and let them rest for a bit, then see how they're doing. At this moment, the entire space was filled with a tense and uneasy atmosphere, and unknown challenges weighed on everyone's minds. Not long after, the lights suddenly went out, plunging the space back into deep darkness. The female team members sat on the ground, huddled together. Lin Feng's lips curled up slightly as he squeezed in. Who is it? The female team members who were pushed aside said something. It's me, Lin Feng. Everyone come closer. I'll protect you if we encounter any danger. Good. The next day, the group sat silently on the ground, slowly eating their food. Lin Feng observed the various groups of different sizes not far away, while glancing up at the time. 11:39? Isn't the test about to begin? Open the chat group. 29,100 people. No way, almost 3,000 people died yesterday. Just then, a low humming sound suddenly came from the space, as if some huge machine was starting up. Everyone immediately became alert, quickly stood up, and looked around. Everyone be careful. A new test may be coming. Before the words were even finished, the ground began to shake violently, and electric grids slowly rose from the surrounding walls, crackling and flashing with electricity, sending chills down one's spine. What is this? A female team member's voice trembled with fright. Lin Feng said with a grim expression, It seems this is the new test. Everyone, be careful not to touch these electric fences. However, as the electric grid stopped rising at about 6 meters, the space became increasingly narrow, forcing everyone to move closer to the center. Test 2. Survival on the power grid. Hope you have fun. As the mechanical sounds ceased, the electric grid began to rumble and slowly move inward. No. Let me in. Let me in. Someone screamed in terror, their voice filled with despair and pleading. Splits. Sizzle, 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 sizzle. The moment the person on the outermost edge touched the electric grid, their entire body was instantly enveloped by a massive electric current and burned to a crisp. The pungent smell of burning filled the air instantly. In an instant, the crowd was like a swarm of bees disturbed, completely thrown into chaos. Screams and cries of fear rose and fell. Everyone frantically pushed their way in, because the innermost part was their only hope for survival. No, I I don't want to die. Someone sobbed uncontrollably, tears and snot covering their entire face. Get out of my way. Get out of my way. Don't block my way, someone roared angrily, desperately pushing away the people in front of him. Bang! Bang! Several people on the periphery began to fight fiercely, punching and kicking, desperately trying to gain a chance to survive. Ding! Fighting detected. Elimination initiated. A merciless light flashed, and the people who were fighting instantly turned into ashes, without even having time to utter a scream. This horrific scene further terrified the already chaotic crowd, and their screams grew even more shrill. Help! Someone! Please save us! Someone cried out in despair, their voice already hoarse. At this moment, the electric grid began to move faster, and the shadow of death grew even heavier. It's over, we're all going to die here, someone cried out in despair. At this time, Lin Feng and his female teammates stood in the middle of the crowd, surrounded by chaos and despair. Lin Feng's eyes were anxious as he searched for an opportunity to escape. Soon, his gaze caught sight of a place piled high with corpses amidst the chaos, and his eyes lit up instantly. Follow me. This way. We arrived at the front and back. Step over the corpses, quick. This is our only way out. Lin Feng shouted hoarsely. Upon seeing this, the female team members, despite being filled with fear and reluctance, gritted their teeth and began to line up, trembling as they stepped onto the corpses and slowly climbed upwards. Too slow. Climb faster. Lin Feng gritted his teeth and used his hands to push the female team members' buttocks to help them. Lin Feng, watch out. One of the female team members saw a bolt of electricity heading towards Lin Feng and screamed in terror. Lin Feng quickly dodged, but the electric current still grazed his arm, leaving a charred mark. Hiss! Thank goodness I improved my agility, otherwise I really would be done for here. Soon, with Lin Feng's strong support, the female team members successfully crossed the electric fence one by one. Without further hesitation, he quickly climbed to the top, and with a leap, landed on the opposite side of the ground. Those who had fallen into despair saw Lin Feng's situation, and a spark of hope instantly ignited in their previously dim eyes. They scrambled to their feet as if they were drowning people grasping at a straw. Chapter 97, Survival of the Python, Qualification. 10 minutes later, all the power grids contracted rapidly in a bizarre way, emitting a buzzing sound of electricity. The corpses were instantly burned to ashes by the high temperature, and a large amount of food was also destroyed in the raging fire. The survivors stared wide-eyed, their eyes filled with fear and shock. They sat or lay down, their expressions blank, their bodies still trembling uncontrollably, staring blankly at the hellish scene before them. After a long time, the power grid and the ashes on the ground vanished in a thin air without leaving a trace, as if the horrific scenes that had just occurred were merely a terrifying illusion. Lin Feng stared at the empty scene before him, took a deep breath, and tried to calm his wildly beating heart. Luo Na, who was standing next to him, almost collapsed to the ground because her legs went weak. Lin Feng quickly reached out to support her. This is too terrifying. The other survivors also began to slowly come to their senses. Some couldn't help but vomit, while others buried their heads in their hands and wept. Can we really survive? A female team member murmured absent-mindedly. Lin Feng gritted his teeth, turned around and said, "Everyone, cheer up. As long as we get through the last hurdle tomorrow, we can leave this place." However, his voice sounded so faint in this atmosphere of despair. "We barely survived the misty forest. Why do you have to torture us like this? Why?" A man roared angrily, slamming his fist into the ground. At this moment, Lin Feng slowly turned around and saw the pale, paper-white faces of the female team members behind him, and shook his head helplessly. "Everyone, take a good rest." The crowd responded listlessly. Soon, at 1 a.m., the lights in the space went out again, and darkness enveloped everyone. Open the chat group. 23,100 people. More than 5,000 people died today. Lin Feng's voice rang out in the darkness, filled with deep shock and worry. A moment of silence. In that case, tomorrow's test might be even harder than today's. The night passed quietly. On the third day, Lin Feng woke up from his sleep and quickly looked up to check the time. 11 o'clock. The test started at 11:39 yesterday. Oh no, it's about to begin. Without further hesitation, Lin Feng quickly woke everyone up. Wake up, everyone! The female team members, still half asleep, sat up in a daze. Is it starting so soon? Everyone, stay alert. So many people died yesterday. Today's challenge is sure to be even tougher. Upon hearing this, the sleepiness on everyone's faces vanished instantly, replaced by tension and fear. Time ticked by, and everyone's heartbeats quickened. Every second of waiting felt like torture. Tick-tock, tick-tock. Time passed slowly, and the atmosphere grew increasingly heavy. 11:39. Lin Feng, why hasn't it started yet? Luo Na couldn't help but ask. Lin Feng frowned deeply. I don't know, let's wait and see. Don't let our guard down. As soon as he finished speaking, a deep rumble suddenly came from the space, as if a powerful force was awakening. Everyone's face turned deathly pale instantly, and they quickly retreated to the back. They're here. Lin Feng gripped his weapon tightly, his eyes fixed on the direction from which the sound came. Soon, the space ahead began to distort, and a huge black vortex slowly emerged. Then, a powerful suction force emanated from the vortex, instantly drawing in the surrounding debris. What is this thing? Someone cried out in terror. Everyone be careful, don't get sucked in. The female team members clung tightly to whatever they could find, struggling against the suction force. The vortex's power grew stronger, and Lin Feng felt his body moving forward little by little. Oh no, at this rate we'll all be sucked in, Rona shouted. At this time, Lin Feng quickly scanned his surroundings and suddenly spotted a huge iron pillar next to him. Everyone, quickly grab onto this iron pillar. Then, everyone rushed to Taiju and hugged him tightly. However, the suction continued to increase, and some of the weaker people could no longer hold on and were instantly sucked in. Help me, a woman cried out in despair. No, don't. A scream rang out from the vortex, but was instantly drowned out. Hold on, everyone. Upon seeing this, Lin Feng was startled and reminded the female team members beside him. Soon, the vortex's suction suddenly stopped, and everyone collapsed to the ground, gasping for breath. However, before they could recover, 3 enormous, ferocious-looking monsters emerged from the vortex. These monsters were 5 meters tall, their bodies like moving hills, and the ground trembled with every step they took. Their skin is a dark bluish-green color, rough and covered with bumps of all sizes. Thick, black liquid seeped out from between the lumps, emitting a nauseating stench. The monster's head was enormous and irregularly shaped, like clay that had been kneaded at will. Its eyes were sunken deep in their sockets, with 2 balls of green ghost fire burning inside, making it extremely eerie. Above his eyes were a pair of twisted horns, covered with sharp barbs that gleamed with a cold light. Their mouths were wide open, revealing rows of sharp, saw-like teeth, each as long as an adult's arm, and their pointed ears stood erect on either side of their heads. Its arms were covered with a layer of black scales, which rubbed against each other and made a crunching sound. Their backs also have a row of sharp bony spurs that extend from the spine all the way to the tail. Rona stood there dumbfounded. Upon seeing this, Lin Feng gritted his teeth and tensed up all over. Prepare for battle. Test 3. The Python's Survival. Only those who survive are qualified to reach the next world of survival. Hope you have fun. Chapter 98, The Next Survival World. A chaotic melee. Lin Feng gripped his machete tightly, his palms sweating, his eyes fixed on the 3 ferocious beasts before him. Roar! Then, the 3 wild beasts roared in unison, the deafening sound seemingly piercing everyone's eardrums. Immediately afterwards, they charged towards the crowd with incredible speed, then mercilessly swept through them with their massive, mountain-like bodies and sharp claws. Run! Run! The pitiful screams rose and fell, and everyone panicked and fled in all directions. However, they soon discovered to their despair that no matter where they ran in this space, they were still within the attack range of these 3 savage beasts. Attack! Attack! We can't escape. Everyone attack together. A shout pierced the chaotic noise, temporarily waking the panicked and helpless people from their fear. Then, as if grasping at the last straw, everyone unleashed their talents and skills. In an instant, dazzling and complex skill lights flashed, including blazing flames, icy frost, and sharp wind blades. All kinds of forces intertwined together. Flames soared into the sky, accompanied by the furious roars of wild beasts, plunging this once peaceful space into utter chaos. Meanwhile, on Lin Feng's side, a wild beast charged straight at him, creating a gust of wind that made the ground tremble. Seeing this, Aya's already pale face turned even more bloodless, but she still took a deep breath, suppressed her fear, and concentrated. The earth wall talent was activated instantly, and several thick earthen walls rose rapidly from the ground, advancing towards the beast. Lin Feng shouted, "Don't be afraid, everyone! Attack together! Roar!" The beast roared deafeningly, waving its enormous claws that swept through the air with a sharp whistling sound, instantly shattering the earthen wall. Debris flew everywhere like a rainstorm, raising clouds of dust. Lin Meiyue's forehead was covered in sweat as she exerted all her strength in using her mental entanglement talent, her expression one of pain. The beast paused slightly, its eyes showing a moment of confusion. "Now!" Lin Feng seized the opportunity, shouted loudly, and slashed fiercely at the beast's leg with his machete. The blade collided with the beast's leg, sending up a string of dazzling sparks. The beast, in pain and anger, turned around and charged towards Lin Feng with its massive body, creating a powerful gust of wind. Lin Feng, relying on his perception ability, anticipated the beast's movements in advance. With a swift movement, he rolled to the side, narrowly avoiding the beast's attack. Vivi moved swiftly around the savage beast like a ghost. She seized the opportunity, her dagger gleaming coldly, and stabbed towards the python's back. However, the python's scales were incredibly hard, as if forged from steel, and the dagger only left a shallow scratch on them. Fireball! A female team member with the talent for fireballs waved her hands and chanted incantations. Several blazing fireballs instantly flew from her hands, carrying rolling heat waves as they flew towards the savage beast. The python was hit by the fireball, and black smoke billowed from its fur, emitting a pungent, burnt smell, but this did not cause it much actual damage. Freeze! Another female team member unleashed her freezing talent, pushing her hands forward, and a cold current surged towards the beast like a raging wave, attempting to slow its movement. Just then, another savage beast suddenly charged towards the crowd with lightning speed. The female team members panicked, screams echoed through the sky, and they scattered and fled, creating chaos. Not good. Lin Feng's expression changed drastically. He wanted to go to the rescue, but he was tightly entangled by the savage beast in front of him. Just then, a powerful gravitational field suddenly descended. Lin Feng turned his head in confusion, and when he saw that familiar face, he was somewhat surprised. He's still alive? Li Miyun's gravity manipulation talent came into play, slamming the beast that was charging towards the crowd to the ground. Roar! The python struggled fiercely, and it looked like it was about to stand up. Quickly! Attack! Attack! Without the slightest hesitation, everyone concentrated their firepower on the suppressed python. The beast let out a painful roar, and soon it suddenly stood up. Li Miyun instantly spat out a mouthful of blood and collapsed to the ground. The suppression on the beast has been lifted. At that moment, Lin Feng saw several familiar faces. Yi Xingqian stretched out his hands and activated the dream illusion talent. The beast's movements became sluggish and its eyes became dazed. Hulina waved her hands, unleashing her ice and snow talent. The surrounding temperature plummeted, and a thick layer of frost instantly formed on the ground. The beast found it more difficult to move. "Keep attacking. I'll hold them off," Hulina shouted. Seeing this, Lin Feng charged at the beast again, swinging his machete repeatedly, leaving deep wounds on the beast's body. The beast retaliated angrily, and Lin Feng was unable to dodge in time, his shoulder being scratched by the beast's claws. Lin Feng, Yu Yao was extremely anxious and quickly used her healing talent on Lin Feng, and the wound healed at a speed visible to the naked eye. "Recovered so quickly?" Lin Feng said in surprise. "Yes, I went out last time and absorbed some iron houses, which upgraded my healing talent," Yu Yao explained. Then, the battle intensified, and everyone's physical strength and innate abilities were constantly being depleted. The beast controlled by Hulina and Li Xingqian has been killed, leaving 2 more wounded beasts. At this time, Lin Feng felt a wave of fatigue wash over him, so he quickly used his excitement ability to get himself back into a mental state. Sudden, The python opened its blood-red maw and lunged at Lin Feng. Lin Feng, get out of the way! Luo Na and Lin Meiwei screamed. Lin Feng reacted quickly and narrowly avoided the beast's fatal attack once again. Damn it! When will this ever end? Without further hesitation, Lin Feng gritted his teeth and activated the chaos and drowsiness abilities on the beast in front of him. Ouch, my head hurts so much. Lin Feng felt his spirits growing weaker and weaker, knowing that he could no longer use his abilities, otherwise he would definitely have passed out. At this moment, everyone saw that the beast had been brought under control again, and its eyes were becoming increasingly frantic, knowing that this was a rare opportunity. Various innate skills erupted once again. Get it done. Kill it. Kill it. Ah. Fear transformed into madness as tens of thousands of people launched a reckless attack. The beast could no longer resist and roared in despair. Rumble! The two beasts fell heavily to the ground, motionless. Then, the space rippled, and the dead beast corpses disappeared. Exhausted, everyone collapsed to the ground, panting heavily. We did it! Yes, we survived! Just then, the system's voice came from within the space. Congratulations on successfully passing all 3 tests. You are about to embark on your journey to the next survival world. Chapter 99, A New Land of Survival, The Indigenous People. Looking at the vanished carcass of the savage beast, the heavy weight in Lin Feng's heart slowly lifted. It's finally over. He let out a long sigh of relief, and his tense nerves relaxed. At this time, the group lay sprawled on the ground, panting heavily, their faces showing exhaustion and relief at surviving the ordeal. Lin Meiwei looked up at the space above, her eyes somewhat lost. I wonder what the next world will be like. All right, Mizuki, stop overthinking. Let's take it one step at a time. Lin Meiwei nodded gently and slowly stood up, supporting herself. Just then, a black vortex gate, about 10 meters high and 3 meters wide, appeared in the very center of the space. The vortex spun slowly like a bottomless maw. Survivors who are ready, please pass through the gate to the next survival world. The maximum stay time in this space is 12 a.m. Anyone who fails to enter by then will be eliminated. See you in the next world, fellow survivors. The system's mechanical voice ended, and everyone's eyes were fixed on the mysterious and terrifying door, but no one took the lead in approaching it. Lin Feng, should we go over there now? I asked softly. Rona asked, her voice tinged with hesitation and unease. A moment of silence. Don't rush. Let's see what the others are like first. Lin Feng frowned slightly, his gaze sweeping across the crowd. Lorna responded, and then fell silent. After a while, no one dared to make a move. Everyone stared at each other, unwilling to be the first to take the risk. Soon, look at you all, so pathetic. It's just a teleportation portal. A rough voice suddenly rang out, breaking the tense silence. A burly man with a full beard pushed his way to the front from the back and strode toward the door. What are you all so timid about? We've all been through so much life and death. Are we afraid of this door? He shouted loudly, his voice echoing in the empty space. As he approached, he turned to look at the crowd, his eyes filled with fearlessness. I'm leaving. You'd better take care of yourselves. Whoosh! The burly man plunged into the whirlpool and disappeared in the blink of an eye, seemingly unharmed. After a while, the group began to move hesitantly toward the gate. Fina. Some people muttered to themselves, their hearts still filled with unease. Let's go, never mind, I'm going in too. Then, one survivor after another walked into the black vortex gate. Lin Feng and his group remained where they were, their faces filled with hesitation and worry. Lin Feng, let's go in too. So many people have already gone in. If we wait any longer, we might not make it in time, Luo Na said anxiously. Lin Feng frowned, but didn't reply. He stared at the mysterious door for a while longer. Okay, everyone be careful. Stay close to me once we're inside. Yes. The team members responded loudly, their voices tinged with nervousness, but more so with trust in Lin Feng. After saying that, Lin Feng led the way towards the vortex gate. The moment his body touched the vortex, an extremely strong suction force suddenly came, as if an invisible giant hand was pulling him forcefully. The scene before my eyes instantly became blurry, with colors and shapes distorted and intertwined, forming a chaotic mix of light and shadow. He felt as if he had been caught in a violent vortex, spinning around and completely losing his sense of direction and control over his body. He quickly lost consciousness. Lorna and the others followed closely behind and were also drawn into the fray. After an unknown amount of time, a sudden burst of light appeared, and Lin Feng and the others passed through the vortex and arrived in an unknown world. Cold, so cold, cold. In the darkness, a trembling voice murmured, and the blurry figure could be vaguely seen rubbing his body with his hands. The trembling voice sounded particularly abrupt in the silent darkness, but received no response. After a while, another voice rang out. Where is this? Why is it so dark? I don't know. I can't see anything, the other person said, his voice trembling with tears. While unconscious, Lin Feng vaguely heard these sounds. As his consciousness gradually returned, he felt a sharp pain in his head, as if he had been struck by a heavy hammer. His whole body was unusually cold, as if he were in an ice cave. The chill seeped into his bones through every pore, making him tremble uncontrollably. Hiss! Holy crap! Why is it so cold? He couldn't help but gasp, and slowly opened his eyes, only to see complete darkness. Is everyone here? Despite his physical discomfort, Lin Feng asked loudly. Yes, yes. A few scattered replies came through. Lin Feng struggled to his feet, adjusting to the darkness. Then, gritting his teeth, he moved his nearly frozen legs and began to feel around. Huh, isn't this my iron house? In an instant, Lin Feng's expression turned to great joy. My darling, you're finally back. Ha ha ha. After all, Lin Feng knew very well that as long as he had this iron house as a solid shelter, he would have an indestructible defense and endless hope for survival. In his heart, this iron house is not just a simple dwelling, but more like a spiritual sustenance, giving him a sense of security and hope for the future. Really? We're back in the iron house. That's great. Yeah. As everyone chatted happily, they momentarily forgot the biting cold that was gripping their bodies. Clearly, it wasn't just Lin Feng. The others were also immersed in joy. Sudden, a faint light came on, followed by the mechanical sound of the system. All survivors have awakened. The following is a survival update. Dear survivors, I am your system's spirit. It's good to see you all again. Please listen carefully to what I am about to say, as it concerns your lives. Location, a land of ice and snow. You have been randomly assigned to a border territory of the Noah Empire. There are indigenous people here. Be careful of their attacks. Supply search time. Survivors are advised to leave after 10 a.m. and return before dark. At night, all members inside the Iron House should not leave for more than 1.5 hours. The Iron House belongs to individuals and those authorized by the Iron House owner and below them. Other survivors are not allowed to enter when the owner is not present, otherwise they will be eliminated. The indigenous people opened the Iron Gate and entered their homes unaffected. There is no protection period. You are entirely on your own. Survive here for 6 months, and the train will arrive and take you to the next area. Also, this area is home to many powerful mutated creatures you may be familiar with, as well as unknown and terrifying dangers. Alright, survivors, let's try our best to survive. Chapter 100, A Cold Night. A cacophony of sounds? After the system voice disappeared, everyone looked at each other, their joy instantly replaced by tension and worry. Natives? Powerful mutated creatures? Terrifying danger. Rona said, her voice trembling. Lin Feng frowned and pondered for a moment. Never mind that for now. Rona, you should distribute the supplies to the team members first. Good. Soon, the supplies were distributed. The women stood trembling inside the Iron House, looking at Lin Feng with fear of the unknown on their faces, awaiting his instructions. Starting tomorrow, Rona will divide you into small teams, just like before. Everyone should get a good rest tonight and recharge your energy. Lin Feng spoke loudly, his gaze sweeping over everyone. Yes, good. Let's disband. The crowd dispersed, leaving only silence inside the Iron House. Afterwards, Lin Feng returned to his room. After a while, on the iron bed, Lin Feng had already taken out a cotton-padded jacket from his spatial backpack and was now burrowing into the quilt, wrapping himself up tightly like a silkworm cocoon. But the biting cold continued to assail him relentlessly, like an all-pervasive ghost, penetrating through layers of bedding and directly attacking his body. Hiss! Damn, this temperature must be at least minus 40 degrees Celsius. No, no, I can't take it anymore. I can't take it anymore. My body is freezing. Oh, right? I remember there was a stove inside the iron house. Lin Feng then quickly opened the door and ran out. He saw the stove placed next to the food maker, and his face lit up with joy. Next, he moved the stove into his room, took out 20 pieces of charcoal from his spatial backpack, placed them in it, and lit it with a lighter. Lin Feng quickly wrapped himself in the blanket and placed his hands above it. Phew, that feels so good. Since the iron house has its own air purification function, he is not worried about carbon monoxide poisoning. Soon, as Lin Feng felt the room gradually warming up, his tense body slowly relaxed. He leaned against the bedside, a satisfied expression on his face. Open the chat group. 500000. Huh, not a million? Could it be that they can't gather enough people? Lin Feng frowned, a hint of doubt rising in his mind. Immediately afterwards, he started browsing through other people's messages in the chat group. Does anyone know what indigenous people are like? Dude, that's a really stupid question. We're all new here. How will we possibly know? No, this freezing, godforsaken place makes me want to die just thinking about having to endure it for 6 months. If you want to die, hurry up and die. Otherwise, you'll suffer later. Damn it, I was just kidding. I finally survived to get here from the misty forest. I'm not going to give in to this damn survival world. Hey, you got guts. By the way, what exactly did the system mean by terrifying and dangerous? What's the point? It's something that can kill you easily. No way. I consider myself fairly strong. I don't believe it could kill me so easily. Wow, buddy, you're really confident. Oomph. So what if I'm confident? I'm still better than a bunch of cowards like you. You're so great, fine, but don't be the first one to die. Shut your mouth. I'm not going to die. We'll see how long you can keep up this stubbornness. Stop arguing and think about how to cope with the days ahead. We'll just have to see how we handle it, one step at a time. This is too negative. I should try to learn more about this place tomorrow. It's easier said than done. Going out in this freezing weather would mean certain death. Are we just supposed to stay here in this iron house and wait to die? Ugh, stop arguing, it's so annoying. Looking at this worthless information, Lin Feng closed the chat group and closed his eyes to think about his next plan. If I'm not mistaken, finding supplies here should be similar to the previous survival world. But what the heck are these indigenous people? Take a moment to think. It seems that each survival location is a real world, and we are here as aliens to take on the challenge? That's really interesting. Oh, right, Sister Tong. Then, Lin Feng quickly opened the chat group and typed a message. Li Tong, this is Lin Feng. Please message me privately if you see this message. Isn't that Lin Feng? He's looking for people again. What do you mean, brother? What happened? That's a long story. This big shot Lin Feng has been searching for this woman named Li Tong for the 3rd time. I bet she's his wife. Can't they be lovers? That's possible too. Lin Feng ignored the messages others sent and continued to post messages, setting it to post once every hour for a period of 48 hours. The reason Lin Feng persisted was not only because she had saved him during his most difficult time, but also because Li Tong was his first woman. However, just as he was about to close his eyes, he suddenly heard a commotion outside the iron gate. Lin Feng was startled and immediately got up. He carefully walked to the iron gate, gently opened the palm-sized iron bars on top of the gate, and looked outside. All that could be seen outside was darkness, but the sound kept lingering around. What's that sound? Could it be the indigenous people? Or perhaps a mutated creature from this place? Then, Lin Feng slowed his breathing, opened his eyes wide, and observed the darkness as motionless as a statue, afraid of missing any subtle movement. Time slowly passed. The commotion outside the iron gate grew clearer, and Lin Feng's heart began to pound instinctively. Ew, puff. Suddenly, a pale, distorted face suddenly loomed close to the crack in the iron gate. In the darkness, the face looked like a demon crawling out of the deepest abyss. The skin on his face looked as if it had been frozen and then cut by countless sharp blades. Deep cuts oozed dark red blood, which flowed down his cheeks and congealed into beads on his chin, teetering precariously. Its mouth was wide open, exhaling a cold breath, with some unidentified bits of meat and bone fragments still hanging between its teeth. Upon seeing this, Lin Feng's eyes widened instantly. After all, no one can react to being suddenly startled like that. He didn't cry out, but instinctively took a step back for safety. Chapter 101, A Late Night Visit? Are they indigenous people? After a while, the pale face at the iron gate seemed quite curious. He slammed his bulging veins on the iron gate, making a dull thud. Soon, he discovered that the iron gate couldn't be opened, and he raised his right hand and scratched his head in confusion. Wah, woo, woo, woo. After letting out a few strange cries, he turned and left. Seeing this, Lin Feng quickly went to the iron gate and looked out through the iron bars. His figure could be vaguely seen in the darkness. He was wearing a brown leather outfit that looked very rough, covered with mottled marks, as if it had been scratched by a sharp weapon or corroded by strong acid. He wore a thick black leather belt around his waist, from which hung some strangely shaped objects that gleamed dimly in the darkness, their purpose unknown. Are they indigenous people? Lin Feng stared at the receding figure, remaining highly vigilant. He carefully observed the indigenous man's back and noticed that he had well-developed leg muscles and walked in a somewhat strange way. On his back was a huge axe, the blade reflecting a cold, chilling glint in the dim light, sending shivers down one's spine. This indigenous person looks very strong. I wonder what their overall strength is. Just as Lin Feng was pondering, the native suddenly stopped, as if he had sensed something. He slowly turned his head, his face, hidden in the darkness, contorted in a hideous grimace. Fortunately, he only glanced at it before continuing on his way until his figure completely disappeared into the darkness. Seeing this, Lin Feng breathed a sigh of relief, but he did not feel the slightest fear. After all he's been through, he's no longer easily bothered by this kind of thing. This looks tough to deal with. Although I should be able to handle a few with my current strength, I don't know how many of these natives there are. If this causes trouble, it will be a huge problem. A moment of silence. We need to investigate this thoroughly in the next few days. After making up his mind, Lin Feng returned to his room. Because the stove was burning continuously, the biting cold inside the house could no longer be felt. After getting to the bedside, he immediately crawled into the covers and prepared to sleep. Just then, there was a soft knock on the door. "Oh, it's me, Rona." Rona's voice trembled slightly. "Come in." "Good." Click. The door opened, and Rona, clutching her cold body tightly, walked in shakily. Her teeth chattered incessantly, and her clothes offered no protection against the biting cold. When she felt the warmth of the room and saw the stove beside the iron bed, her eyes lit up as if she had seen a lifeline. "What's wrong, Rona? What do you want to see me about?" Lin Feng sat up from the covers and looked at her with some confusion. Lorna sat down by the fireplace, her hands unconsciously warming themselves on it, letting out a comfortable sigh. Moment. Lin Feng, have you forgotten something? Lorna's voice was soft, tinged with a hint of caution. "Oh, what is it?" Lin Feng frowned, looking completely bewildered. It's just that you haven't assigned permissions for this iron house yet." Lorna mustered her courage and revealed her purpose. Her gaze was fixed on Lin Feng, filled with anticipation. Upon hearing this, and seeing Rona with her head bowed in the dim light of the stove, Lin Feng's lips curled into a wicked smile, his eyes flashing with a meaningful light. "Oh, what level of access do you want?" Lin Feng's tone carried a hint of teasing. You can give me Lin Feng whoever you like." Rona lowered her head and secretly glanced at Lin Feng, her eyes filled with a pleading look. She knew very well that only with access to the iron house would she have real rights and a sense of security. Therefore, she came here today determined to fight for herself, even if it was only the lowest level 5 authority. Furthermore, no matter what Lin Feng asks for, I must not only accept it, but also do it even better to satisfy him to the extreme. Give it away casually? Rona, aren't you being a little too confident in yourself? Lin Feng glanced at Luo Na sideways, his eyes filled with a hint of mockery and sarcasm. "Oh, no, Lin Feng, I didn't mean that." Luo Na panicked and hurriedly waved her hands to explain, her face full of fear and unease. "Hee, my feet are a little cold," Lin Feng said with a half-smile. "Let me warm you up." As she spoke, Rona immediately took off her shoes and stepped onto the iron bed, her movements swift and decisive. Without saying a word, he pulled out Lin Feng's feet and stuffed them into his arms, without the slightest disgust or hesitation on his face. Lin Feng closed his eyes and comfortably enjoyed the sensation, a look of contentment and satisfaction on his face. After a while, "How are you feeling? Are you warmer now?" Luona looked at Lin Feng with a fawning expression, her eyes filled with expectation and caution. Not bad. Lin Feng nodded slightly, his tone tinged with languor. Then, everything fell into place naturally. Chapter 102 Departure. The scene outside the Iron House. After it was over, he slowly turned his head, looked at Rona, who had already fallen into a coma behind him, and once again revealed an evil expression on his face. I never expected Rona to be so crazy. What permission should we give her? Level 1 allows survivors to stay inside, while Level 2 only allows her to command others from inside the Iron House. Moment. Fine, I'll just give her Level 1 access. That will save me a lot of trouble. After all, she's my secretary. After making up his mind, Lin Feng went straight to sleep. The next day, when Lorna regained consciousness, it was already 9 o'clock. She hurriedly put on her gear, and when she saw Lin Feng looking at her with a half-smile, she blushed as she thought of the madness of the previous night. Oh, still shy, this is the second time. Snort. Soon, after the female team members finished eating, they lined up in an early manner. Lin Feng and Luona stood in front, scrutinizing him. Lorna, divide them into small teams of 5, go, and assign them. Good. Then, Luona began to assign teams. Although the female team members were all wearing cotton-padded coats, they still couldn't stop trembling. The teams were assigned in no time. Lin Feng, it's all divided up. There are 5 teams in total, with 1 captain for each team. Me, Yu, Wei, Wei, Yao, Lin, Mei, Wei, and I, the 6 of us are grouped together. I've also assigned Du Lily to the reconnaissance team. There are teammates in the team who have the talent to sense danger, so she should be safe there. Lin Feng nodded, satisfied with Luona's arrangement. Listen up, everyone. Be careful once you're outside. Don't panic if you encounter danger, and try to help each other. Understood, the female team members answered in unison. Then, without further hesitation, Lin Feng arrived at the iron gate, and with a click, the iron gate slowly opened. Whoosh! The moment the iron gate opened, a biting gust of cold wind, carrying snowflakes like goose feathers, rushed towards him, stinging his face. Before me lay a vast expanse of white, with snow falling endlessly and incessantly. The snow was incredibly thick. Lin Feng measured it and found it reached his waist. Looking into the distance, the surface of the accumulated snow layer is not flat, as if it has been kneaded by countless large hands, forming an undulating shape. In some places, it rises high, while in other places it sinks deep. The cold wind howled, blowing up the snow on the ground and forming white vortexes that danced in the air. Lin Feng reached out his hand, trying to catch the snowflakes, but as soon as he did, his palm was covered by the rapidly accumulating snowflakes. He tried to see the distant scenery clearly, but could only see snowflakes flying everywhere, as if the area was completely covered by this white curtain. While this snow is falling so heavily, Lin Feng couldn't help but mutter to himself, his voice instantly swallowed by the cold wind. Behind him, a group of female team members huddled together, shivering from the cold. Lin Feng, how do we get there? Rona said with a blank look on her face. Lin Feng didn't respond. Instead, he frowned as he looked at the scene outside. He knew that no matter how difficult it was outside, he had to go out. After all, retreating meant death. He took a deep breath and turned to look at the crowd behind him. Set off. Yes. At Lin Feng's command, each team stepped out of the iron house in turn. Then, each squad began to move outwards in all directions. Let's go too. Good. Lorna and the others answered in a daze. Soon, in the vast expanse of white snow, 6 figures walked forward in turn. With each step, they had to climb out of the snow and then fall back down with difficulty, the cold wind cutting their cheeks like a knife. Holy crap, are you kidding me? At this moment, Lin Feng was very helpless. After all, he had only walked a few hundred meters in half an hour. He stopped, turned around, and looked behind him, and found that the girls' faces were all red like monkey bottoms from the cold, and they were muttering heave-ho, heave-ho. Lin Feng was dumbfounded. Why aren't you leaving, Lin Feng? Rona stopped and looked at him with a puzzled expression, just as Lin Feng was about to say something. Sudden, a gust of wind swept by, swirling up a flurry of snowflakes. Everyone, stay together and don't get separated. Lin Feng reacted instantly and shouted loudly. However, after the storm passed, several sharp roars rang out in the distance. Lin Feng and the others looked ahead and saw 3 white mutated snow wolves slowly emerging from a snowdrift not far away. The 3 snow wolves were enormous. more than twice the size of ordinary wolves. Their snow-white fur fluttered in the wind, but it couldn't hide their fierce eyes and sharp fangs. Roar! After a mutated snow wolf howled, it pounced on the group without hesitation. Damn, we've only gone a short distance, and we've already encountered a mutated creature. Split up. Prepare for battle. Good. Before she finished speaking, Lin Mayway instantly activated her mental entanglement talent. The snow wolf's eyes showed a momentary confusion, but it quickly regained its ferocity. Roar! The mutated snow wolf pounced at Lin Feng again. Lin Feng quickly dodged to the side, and at the same time used the excitement ability to increase his agility. He raised his machete and slashed at the snow wolf. The snow wolf nimbly leaped away and pounced on Lin Feng again. Upon seeing this, Rona immediately unleashed her evolved ability, Mist, instantly enveloping the mutated snow wolf in a thick fog. Lost in the mist, the snow wolf attacked haphazardly, raising large snowflakes. Aya shouted and activated Earth Wall, a thick earthen wall rising from the snowdrift. Snowflakes exploded. A flurry of snowflakes filled the air, blocking the snow wolf's path. Seeing their leader restrained, the other two snow wolves joined the battle, pouncing on the last two. Watch out! Rona shouted a warning. Upon seeing this, Wei Wei was startled and quickly picked up Yu Yao and moved away. Thump! The two were buried in the deep snow. Sleepy. Confusion. Lin Feng activated his abilities one after another. The snow wolf's movements instantly slowed down, and its thoughts became chaotic. Damn it! You're unlucky to have run into me. As he spoke, Lin Feng suddenly leaped up from the snow, wielding a machete, and moved with lightning speed, slashing fiercely at one of the snow wolves. The snow wolf couldn't dodge in time, and its head was instantly split open, splattering blood everywhere. Seeing this, the other snow wolf fiercely pounced on Lin Feng. Lin Feng dodged to the side, then plunged his knife into the snow wolf's abdomen with a backhand stroke. With a powerful twist, the snow wolf howled and collapsed. The last snow wolf tried to escape, but Rona's fog caused it to lose its way. Lin Feng seized the opportunity to catch up, and with a swift stroke of his knife, ended its life. That's it. Chapter 103, Perception Ability, Strange Things? Then, Lin Feng used his knife to cut open the bellies of the three mutated snow wolves one by one, took out 3 white exchange coupons, and put them into his spatial backpack. Intermediate material exchange coupon, intermediate blueprint exchange coupon, special food exchange coupon. What's this blueprint redemption coupon? Lin Feng was very curious and prepared to go back and open it to take a look. He turned around and saw the girls resting in place. Without disturbing them, he used his perception ability to see what was around him. Instantly, information about everything within Lin Feng's perception range appeared in his mind, all of it three-dimensional, and even had a thermal sensing effect. 2,000 meters to the east, a mutated snow leopard is walking through the woods, carrying a mid-level food exchange coupon in its belly. 3,000 meters to the south, there are 15 snow houses, dozens of men and women dressed in brown leather jackets, and children moving around inside a 3-meter-high fence. They set up a fire with a large iron basin on top, seemingly cooking. About 1,900 meters to the north, under a large tree, there are rows of structures resembling ant nests, each over a meter high. 30 ice worms, each over a meter long, are going in and out. 13 of them contain food exchange coupons, 10 contain water exchange coupons, and 7 contain material exchange coupons. At distances of 1,500 meters, 1,900 meters, and 1,980 meters to the west, respectively, were discovered 1 mutated ice snake, 1 mutated ice python, and 2 mutated snow wolves. Inside them were intermediate food exchange coupons, advanced weapon exchange coupons, intermediate defensive equipment exchange coupons, and material exchange coupons. Wait. Upon seeing this information, Lin Feng was startled, then frowned and fell into deep thought. These indigenous people live such primitive lifestyles. What is their actual strength? I wonder if contacting them will be a blessing or a curse. And then there are those ice worms and mutated creatures. It seems there are dangers lurking all around. Suddenly, Lin Feng felt a little dizzy. View mental information. 10 points. Note, Using the perception ability for large-scale exploration consumes too much mental energy. Please control the number of uses and the range of perception. No wonder I feel dizzy. It seems I need to use it in moderation in the future. However, this perception ability is really powerful. It can detect the surrounding things so clearly. In the midst of his joyful conversation with them, Lin Feng couldn't help but reveal his true talent. Although he later regretted it a little, he couldn't help but want to show off. However, thinking about it, it's not a big deal since they're all his women. He then withdrew his perception ability and walked toward the women who were resting. Lin Feng, how is it? Have you found anything? Luo Na asked. Lin Feng solemnly recounted what he had sensed to them. This is too complicated. Lin Maywell was very worried after hearing this. Leaving aside the indigenous people for now, our primary task is to acquire resources for survival. Although there are many ice worms in the north, they shouldn't be very strong. We can go and give it a try. The women looked at each other and nodded. All right, let's go. The girls stood up, brushed the snow off their clothes, and followed Lin Feng cautiously northward. Soon, upon reaching their destination, the group buried themselves in the snow, watching the ice worms not far away. I'll go first. With that, Lin Feng took a deep breath and rushed out of the snowdrift, heading straight for the ice worm. The ice insects were instantly startled and turned to Lin Feng. The 30 ice worms opened their mouths wide, and a large burst of cold, white energy gushed out, instantly freezing Lin Feng's body. Wow, you can do that. Lin Feng was startled, clearly not expecting these ice worms to have such powerful attack methods. Lin Feng, seeing this, Rona did not hesitate and immediately used her mist talent. A thick fog instantly spread out, interfering with the ice worm's vision. Lin Maywell then activated her mental entanglement talent from the rear. At this moment, Lin Feng struggled fiercely, his exposed right hand holding a machete, hacking at the ice layer on his body again and again. Damn, how is it so sturdy? Vivi, with her speed enhancement talent, weaved among the ice worms, attracting their attention and occasionally stabbing them with a blade. Aya then built an earthen wall to block Lin Feng from being attacked again. At that moment, several ice insects breathed cold air at Rona, who nimbly dodged it. The moment Lin Feng broke free of the ice, he rushed over and slashed fiercely at the ice worm with his machete. However, the ice worm's shell was very hard, and Lin Feng's attack could only leave a shallow mark on it. No way, it's so hard. The ice worms began to fight back, their icy breath causing the surrounding temperature to plummet. Yu Yao also stood at the back, constantly activating the healing talent in her hand. Lin Feng launched another attack, this time focusing his power on the ice worm's weakness. An ice worm seized the opportunity to rush towards Yu Yao. Aya shouted, "Watch out!" and quickly reinforced the earthen wall to block the ice worm's attack. Lin Feng charged left and right through the swarm of ice insects. Ding! Double damage triggered. Ding! Life steal triggered. Ding! Bleeding has been triggered. Upon hearing the notification tone, Lin Feng's face lit up with joy. He then saw that the ice worm he had just slashed had its head and body separated. After that, the notification sound kept ringing out, and Lin Feng harvested them one by one, and the ice insects died one by one. Soon, all 30 ice worms were eliminated. Exhausted, everyone collapsed onto the snow, panting heavily. At this moment, Yu Yao stepped forward and began to treat everyone. Lin Feng then took out the exchange coupons from the ice worm's body one by one and put them into his spatial backpack. After resting for a while, the group prepared to continue their journey. But at this time, a sudden gust of biting wind swept in, blowing Luo Na and Yu Yao into the air. Ah! 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 The two screamed in terror, their bodies spinning uncontrollably. Upon seeing this, Lin Feng was greatly alarmed and immediately used his excitement ability on himself, rushing towards Luo Na and Yu Yao. Aya quickly activated her Earth Wall talent, attempting to build a barrier to block the gale, but the power of the gale was too great, and the Earth Wall was instantly destroyed. Vivi tried to catch the two people in the air with her speed enhancement talent, but the wind was too strong, and she couldn't get close at all. "Hold on," he shouted. Just as Luo Na and Yu Yao were about to be swept away by the gale, Lin Feng arrived. He grabbed their arms and pulled them back forcefully. However, the force of the gale kept pulling at the three of them. Lin Feng gritted his teeth, and the veins on his arms bulged. Seeing this, Wei Wei, Yu Yao, and Aya quickly hugged Lin Feng's waist to help him. Come back here. At this moment, the wind seemed to grow even angrier, and its force increased again. At this time, Lin Feng felt his body about to leave the ground, and his expression instantly changed to one of alarm, but he still clung tightly to Luo Na and Yu Yao. No way. Just when Lin Feng was about to give up, the gale suddenly stopped without warning. The two of them fell from the sky and crashed heavily onto the snow. Cough, cough. Lin Feng quickly stepped forward to check on you. Are you all right? Luo Na and Yu Yao were pale, but thankfully they were not injured. It's all right, Lin Feng. Thank you, Rona said, her voice trembling, clearly frightened. What's going on? Why is there such a strong wind all of a sudden? Lin Meiwa asked. Lin Feng shook his head. I don't know, but I have a feeling this place is a bit eerie. Chapter 104 Dangerous Icy Land. Should we continue? Aya asked hesitantly, a hint of fear in her eyes. Lin Feng frowned, looked up at the sky, and saw that it was already getting dark. No way. The days here are ridiculously short. It feels like only a few hours have passed. Yes, and it feels even colder. Lin Meiwa hugged her arms tightly, her body trembling slightly, and her teeth chattering uncontrollably. After a moment of contemplation, Lin Feng decided he didn't want to return just like that. There aren't any mutated creatures ahead. Let's explore a bit further and then head back. The group nodded in agreement and continued on their way. Soon, they arrived at a seemingly calm frozen lake. This frozen lake looks quite solid, and with the weather so cold, the ice must be very thick. We should be able to walk across it, Wei Wei said. Lin Feng, looking cautious, observed the surroundings. Better safe than sorry. I'll try it first. Lin Feng looked solemn as he stepped onto the ice. After taking only a few steps, he suddenly heard a crack. Oh no, the ice is about to crack. Lin Feng's expression changed drastically, and he quickly turned around and ran back. Just then, the entire ice surface shattered instantly, and Lin Feng fell into the icy lake water. Lin Feng! The women exclaimed in unison and quickly rushed to the shore to try and grab Lin Feng. But they were too far away and failed to catch him after several attempts. Rona looked around and found that everything around her was white, with no branches or anything like that. Depend on. Lin Feng cursed as the cold lake water made his body instantly lose all feeling. Lin Meiwa was so anxious that tears were almost in her eyes. What can we do? Lin Feng can't hold on. Yu Yao panicked too. Why don't we hold hands and go down to save him? Aya quickly shook her head. No, that's too dangerous. We'll all fall. Just when everyone was extremely anxious, Wei Wei suddenly said, I have a solution. She quickly took out a long rope from her backpack, tied one end to a piece of pig iron, and threw the other end at Lin Feng. Lin Feng grabbed the rope. Wei Wei shouted. Lin Feng struggled in the water and managed to grab the rope. Quick, everyone pull together. Wei Wei directed the group. Soon, Lin Feng was pulled out of the water. Lin Feng stood on the snow, panting heavily, his body shivering from the cold. Yu Yao quickly treated him, while Aya took out a cotton-padded coat from her spatial storage and draped it over him. Lin Feng, are you all right? Luo Na asked with concern. Thank goodness you're all here. I'm all right. But what's strange is, why is the ice so thin? It should be salt water. I think for a moment, and then I say, said Rona. After resting for a while, Lin Feng managed to recover some of his strength, but the situation was still far from optimistic. He was soaked to the bone, his cold clothes clinging to his body. The wind howled, each gust feeling like a sharp knife cutting into his skin. The feeling was like being inside an ice cave. Let's go. Let's stop here for today and hurry back. Everyone nodded and helped Lin Feng leave. Soon, the group entered the iron house, which appeared somewhat empty. The other female team members had not yet returned. That morning, when Luo Na checked the information panel, she was overjoyed to find that Lin Feng had granted her a level 1 access. Then, when assigning team members, she granted each team leader a level 5 permission, allowing 5 people, excluding themselves, to enter the iron house. Chapter 105 Strange Winds? Clues? Lin Feng didn't dare to delay at all, and quickly returned to his room to change into dry and warm clothes. Then he buried himself in the thick quilt and lit the stove in the room. Soon, the temperature in the room gradually rose, and Lin Feng's originally pale face gradually became rosy. Phew, that feels so good. Lin Feng let out a long breath, as if expelling all the cold air from his body. Damn it. This is outrageous. This is such a ripoff. Lin Feng cursed under the covers for a while before his anger gradually subsided. This godforsaken place is dangerous at every turn. I really don't know how I'm going to get through the rest of the days. Just then, Rona walked in quietly, carrying a bowl of steaming soup. Lin Feng, I made you some bone broth in the kitchen. Here, have some to warm you up. Luo Na's voice was gentle and caring. Lin Feng quickly took the soup, tilted his head back, and drank it down in one gulp. The warm soup flowed down his throat, and he immediately felt a warm current surge through his body, instantly dispelling much of the chill. Thanks, Lin Feng said sincerely, his eyes full of gratitude. Then, Luo Na sat on the edge of the bed, looking at Lin Feng with a worried expression, her eyes filled with deep concern and worry. Today was really dangerous. You'd better be more careful in the future. I'm telling you, Rona said softly, her tone full of advice. Lin Feng nodded. I know, I was careless this time. Just then, Lin Mei Yue, Yu Yao, and the others walked in, and they started talking amongst themselves. Thank goodness Lin Feng is all right, otherwise I really don't know what we would have done. Lin Mei Yue's face still showed lingering fear. Yes, this place is too eerie. There are either strong winds or ice caves, and there are also those elusive mutated creatures. Yu Yao echoed, her brows furrowed tightly. The group discussed this for a while before gradually dispersing and returning to their rooms. Lin Feng lay in bed, tossing and turning, unable to fall asleep. His mind was a jumbled mess, constantly thinking about all the things that had happened that day. It seems we can't rush into exploration. We need to figure out what caused that strong wind first, and we can try to negotiate with the native inhabitants to ask about the situation in this world. Just as Lin Feng continued to ponder. Click! The iron gate outside opened, and the female team members returned. Lin Feng quickly got dressed, walked out of the room, and saw that Luo Na and the others had also come out. The female team members all looked exhausted, with a few snowflakes still clinging to their clothes. How is it? What did you get today? Lin Feng asked. Captain, don't even mention it. The snow outside is so thick that it's difficult to take a single step. We finally managed to find 5 food vouchers and 3 material vouchers in the forest to the north. One of the female team members said helplessly. Lin Feng frowned. It seems this place is even more difficult than we imagined. Afterwards, everyone sat together and began to share their experiences of the day. Captain, we've encountered a group of strange mutated creatures, resembling snow foxes, but much more powerful than ordinary snow foxes. And another thing, we found a hidden cave, but there seems to be something inside, so we didn't dare to go in. Lin Feng listened attentively to the female team members' stories and took careful notes. Chapter 106 Blueprint Exchange Coupons Reward System. By the way, which team encountered strong winds today? Rona asked. After a moment of silence, the team members looked at each other in bewilderment. We encountered the first team. They suddenly attacked us from just over 10 meters away. Luckily, we ran fast. Did you investigate? Yes, we searched the surrounding area for a long time, but we didn't find any clues. This strong wind seemed to appear out of nowhere without any warning. All right, Rona, put the vouchers away and distribute them to everyone. We'll talk about this tomorrow, Lin Feng said. After saying that, Lin Feng returned to his room and lay down on the bed. Afterwards, each team captain handed over all the vouchers their members had received to Luo Na. Luo Na opened them one by one and found 2 special food vouchers, her face instantly lighting up with joy. Without much thought, she quickly distributed the supplies to each team member and then went to Lin Feng's room. Lin Feng, here, 2 special food vouchers. Lin Feng took the voucher, a hint of surprise flashing in his eyes. Not bad. These female team members are very lucky. Lorna smiled and said, Yes, everyone's hard work today wasn't in vain. Lin Feng nodded, and after thinking for a while, he opened his spatial backpack and handed over the dozens of food vouchers he had collected that day to Luo Na. Lorna, in a little while, you'll create a reward system based on what I'm about to say. Okay, go ahead. First, finding a team that can boost your strength and exchange vouchers will reward you with 10 portions of food or water. You can mix 2 or a mid-level weapon. If you accumulate a large number of these, we may consider granting you Iron House access. Secondly, the most important item is the item exchange coupon. If someone obtains it, In addition to receiving 50 food meals, they will also be granted a level 5 access privilege. The more coupons they accumulate, the more generous the rewards will be. Let's set these two first, and add more later if needed. Okay, I'll go and announce it right away. Go. Lorna responded and turned to leave the room. Then, Lin Feng sat up and put the voucher he was holding into his spatial backpack. Start clicking on the coupons you received today. Ding! Congratulations! You have obtained 100 orchid stones and 100 pieces of pig iron. Ding! Congratulations! You have obtained a power cookie. Ding! Congratulations! You have obtained an agility grape. Ding! Congratulations! You have received a bag of power bread. Ding! Congratulations! You have obtained 10 orchid stones. Ding! Congratulations! You have obtained 10 pieces of pig iron. Ding! Congratulations! You have obtained 10 fire crystals. Ding! Congratulations! You have obtained 10 fire crystals. Ding! Congratulations! You have obtained a rainbow silver stone. Ding! Congratulations! You have obtained a rainbow silver stone. Huh? Orchid stone? Fire crystal? Rainbow silver stone? New materials have appeared. Lin Feng was very curious and quickly opened his spatial backpack. View information. Lan Ing stone, an important material for crafting blueprint items. Fire crystal, an important material for crafting blueprint items. Rainbow silver stone, an important material for crafting recipes. Upon seeing the information, Lin Feng no longer hesitated and clicked on the last, intermediate blueprint exchange coupon. Ding! Congratulations! You have obtained a furnace crafting blueprint. Require materials: 20 fire crystals, 20 orchid stones, 2 rainbow silver stones. Not bad. This stove will help Rona and the others warm up. Just then, cheers erupted from outside as Rona announced the reward system. Lin Feng composed himself and clicked on the furnace manufacturing blueprint. Furnace, 20 fire crystals, 20 orchid stones, 2 rainbow silver stones. Materials required. Yes/no. Proceed with the crafting. Yes. Instantly, these materials began to melt, and soon they fused together, twisting and forging. Soon, a furnace appeared in the space backpack. Lin Feng took it out. At first glance, the stove is about half a meter tall, with a wide and stable base, dark black in color, and with a fine texture on the surface. The inside of the furnace is smooth and flat, with a faint silver sheen, suggesting a special heat-insulating coating. Above the furnace is a wide opening, with a delicate silver pattern inlaid around the edge. The furnace opening is about 30 centimeters in diameter, which is enough to hold a large amount of fuel. So exquisite! Lin Feng was surprised for a moment, then took out 10 pieces of charcoal and put them in. The charcoal, which originally required a lighter to ignite, actually started to burn on its own, generating waves of heat. Moreover, the range of heat from the flames has significantly expanded, making the surrounding air scorching hot, far surpassing the original furnace. Lin Feng looked at the new stove with satisfaction and was very happy. I'll keep this for myself. Soon, the room temperature rose rapidly. The previously chilly air was dispelled, and warmth gradually spread. With this treasure, I'll be able to live more comfortably in this godforsaken place from now on. Soon, there was a soft knock on the door. Lin Feng, this is Luona. May I come in? Lin Feng got up and opened the door. Luona walked in and was instantly pleasantly surprised by the warmth of the room. Wow, this stove is amazing, Rona exclaimed. Lin Feng smiled and said, I just made them. I plan to keep them for myself. Lorna nodded. That's only right. By the way, the team members are very motivated when they hear about the reward system. That's good. As he spoke, Lin Feng's gaze involuntarily fell on Luona. Her clothes were no longer so tight because of the warmth of the room, and a small patch of fair skin was revealed at the slightly open neckline, as smooth and warm as mutton fat jade. Lin Feng's gaze gradually intensified, and his breathing unconsciously became heavier. Luona keenly noticed Lin Feng's unusual behavior, and a blush rose on her face, her eyes showing both shyness and a hint of reproach. Lin Feng, why are you looking at me like that? Lin Feng's throat bobbed, and he said in a slightly hoarse voice, Lorna, you are so beautiful. Rona's face flushed even more, and she lowered her head, fidgeting nervously with the hem of her clothes. Don't talk nonsense, Lin Feng. Lin Feng, however, approached Luona step by step. I'm not lying, Lorna. In this warm house, I suddenly feel. Rona's heart pounded faster and faster. She looked up and met Lin Feng's lustful gaze, and a wave of panic washed over her. Lin Feng, no. However, Lin Feng seemed to be bewitched, and gently placed his hand on Luo Na's shoulder. The warmth from his palm made Luo Na's body tremble slightly. Just then, a sudden commotion outside broke the ambiguous atmosphere inside. Cough cough. Rona, don't go back today, stay in my room and warm up. A moment of silence. Rona lowered her blushing head and murmured softly. Chapter 107 Breaking Down the Door. Rare Materials. It's 3 a.m. After a vigorous workout, Luo Na had fallen into a deep sleep, while Lin Feng lay half reclined on the iron bed. Open the private chat window. Lin Feng said softly, but then he realized that no one was chatting with him privately. It seems Li Tong isn't here either. Lin Feng sighed softly, his gaze slowly falling and settling on Luo Na's peaceful sleeping face. Bang bang bang. Suddenly, a loud banging on the door rang out. Upon hearing this, Lin Feng quickly put on his clothes, went to the iron gate, and gently opened the iron bars. Before my eyes, 3 enormous mutated snow wolves were frantically ramming against the iron gate. Damn it! What are these beasts doing here in the middle of the night? Just then, one of the mutated snow wolves seemed to notice Lin Feng's gaze. It stopped its charge and let out a low growl at Lin Feng. What are you looking at? Come in if you dare. Soon after, the 3 mutated snow wolves realized they couldn't break through, hauled at Lin Feng a few more times, and then prepared to leave. But just then, wah! A familiar voice rang out. Awoo! The 3 mutated snow wolves howled towards the rear, instantly becoming alert. Soon, a figure appeared in Lin Feng's line of sight. That indigenous person who scared me last time? Lin Feng asked, somewhat surprised. Upon seeing the 3 mutated snow wolves, the indigenous people charged straight at them without hesitation. The 3 mutated snow wolves were not to be outdone and engaged in a fierce battle with the natives. Lin Feng watched nervously from behind the iron gate, secretly wondering what the natives' purpose was. The Aboriginal man was agile, wielding his bone club with great force, and in just a few moves he knocked a mutated snow wolf to the ground, howling in pain. Seeing this, the remaining 2 mutated snow wolves pounced on the natives even more frantically, but the natives did not back down. They were incredibly strong, using both bone clubs and fists to fight the snow wolves back and forth. Bang bang bang. Lin Feng was utterly shocked upon seeing this. Goodness gracious, that's at least 3,000 gene of strength. Just then, the native struck the last mutated snow wolf on the head with a powerful blow, and bang, its head exploded. The next moment, he walked towards Lin Feng's direction. Lin Feng's heart tightened. He wondered what this native was up to. The indigenous people walked up to the iron gate, stopped, looked at Lin Feng with a scrutinizing gaze, and spoke in a language that Lin Feng could not understand. Oh, what are you talking about? Can't you speak Mandarin? I don't understand. Lin Feng tried to communicate with him, but the language barrier led to a stalemate. Gua, Josi, Moro, Esquik. Just as Lin Feng was pondering how to respond, the indigenous people seemed to realize that Lin Feng couldn't understand their words, and suddenly handed him a small green stone. Lin Feng carefully took the green stone from the gap in the iron bars and examined it with suspicion. Ding! Rare material detected. Yes. No. Add to inventory. Yes. View information. Agate. A rare material for crafting superior grade blueprint items. Found on outer planets, extremely rare. Lin Feng looked at the information about the green agate stone and couldn't help but feel a surge of joy. Before he could recover from his surprise, the indigenous man started talking again, his tone hurried and his hands gesturing incessantly. Lin Feng looked at the Aboriginal with a blank expression, completely not understanding what he was trying to say. Seeing this, the indigenous man showed a hint of anxiety on his face. He approached the iron gate again, trying to make Lin Feng understand his meaning. Just then, the Aboriginal pointed to the green agate in Lin Feng's hand, then pointed into the distance, muttering some unintelligible words. Lin Feng frowned, trying to figure out the indigenous people's intentions. Suddenly, a thought struck him. Could the indigenous people be telling him the origin of the emerald? Lin Feng tentatively asked, You mean the stone came from afar? The indigenous people seemed to realize that Lin Feng hadn't understood what they meant, and they gestured even more urgently. Lin Feng shook his head helplessly and said, "Friend, I really don't understand." The indigenous man was silent for a moment, then took out a tattered animal skin from his body, on which some patterns seemed to be drawn. He handed the animal hide to Lin Feng, who took it and carefully examined the patterns on it. The pattern is rough, but it seems to depict a place with mountains and water, and some strange markings. Lin Feng looked up at the indigenous people and asked, "Is this where the green agate is produced?" The indigenous man nodded vigorously, then pointed to the animal hide and continued speaking. Although Lin Feng still didn't quite understand the native's full meaning, he sensed that the native had no ill intentions towards him. Just as Lin Feng was pondering what to do next, the aboriginal suddenly turned around, grabbed a handful of snow, and stuffed it into his mouth, then pointed at the green agate in Lin Feng's hand. "You might think I understand what he means." Then Lin Feng took out a piece of beef jerky from his spatial backpack and peeked out through the gap in the iron bars. Upon seeing this, the indigenous person's eyes lit up instantly. After taking the beef jerky in his hand, he smelled it, licked it with his tongue, and closed his eyes to savor it. Then he nodded vigorously to Lin Feng and ate it in one bite. Soon, the aboriginal finished eating a piece of beef jerky, stretched out his big hand, and looked at Lin Feng with shining eyes. Seeing this, Lin Feng took out 3 packs of beef jerky and a pack of biscuits from his spatial backpack and handed them to the natives one by one. The indigenous person excitedly accepted it and clutched it tightly to his chest. Soon, after Lin Feng handed over all the food in his hands, the indigenous man bowed deeply to him and then quickly left with the food. After a while, Lin Feng stared in the direction the native had left, his heart filled with doubt. He didn't know why the native had given him a piece of green agate in exchange for food and that animal skin. Afterwards, Lin Feng returned to his room, picked up the animal hide, and examined it carefully. He discovered that this place was quite far from the iron house. He not only had to cross a glacier, but also a mountain. After thinking about it, he decided to wait until later. At this moment, Rona turned over and mumbled a few words in her sleep. Lin Feng glanced at her, put the animal skin into his spatial storage, and then hugged her and began to sleep. Chapter 108, A New Hint. Encountering the indigenous people again. One night passed. Time, 9:30. Everyone had finished eating and was now standing in neat rows at Lin Feng's door. Today, while you search for supplies, you must continue to explore this world more deeply, especially the 3rd exploration team. I don't expect you to find many supplies, but you can go further outwards. Lin Feng looked at everyone with a serious expression and said, "Also, you must be extremely careful of that sudden strong wind. I suggest that each team spread out to reduce the risk." Lin Feng raised his voice, emphasizing the point. "Yes, clear." At this moment, Lin Feng turned to look at Luo Na beside him. "Lorna, is there anything else you'd like to add?" A moment of silence. "Lin Feng, this morning you told me about the indigenous people coming to you in the middle of the night to exchange food. I was thinking, should we take the food and go to them to have a good talk?" Rona frowned slightly and said with a serious expression, "How are we supposed to communicate? We can't understand a word they're saying," Lin Feng said, shaking his head helplessly. "You can use gestures." Never mind. Let's talk about it in a few days." "Oh." Rona nodded somewhat disappointedly. Soon, 10 o'clock arrived precisely on time. Lin Feng reached out and opened the iron gate. In an instant, the heavy snow was swept in by the howling wind and rushed in. Everyone quickly covered their eyes with their arms to block the wind and snow that rushed towards them. "Let's go," Lin Feng shouted. Then, braving the swirling snow, the female team members trudged forward and dispersed in the predetermined directions. "Let's go too," Lin Feng said. "Good," the women responded. Half an hour later, Lin Feng and his group trudged through the deep snow, each step making a crunch sound. The cold wind cut like a knife across their cheeks, and despite wearing thick clothes, they could still feel the biting cold. "This awful weather, I really don't know when it will end," Lin Meiwa complained. "The system says this is a land of ice and snow, and I guess it will stay like this forever," Vivi replied helplessly. Lin Feng tightened his clothes and said, "Stop complaining. Watch your step. Be careful not to slip." The group continued onward in silence, when suddenly, a huge ice hole appeared ahead. "Watch out," Lin Feng shouted. Everyone stopped in their tracks, staring at the bottomless ice hole, a wave of fear washing over them. Go around it. Not long after, having finally managed to get around the ice hole, Yu Yao pouted and frowned, saying, this was too difficult. There were dangers all the way. Upon hearing this, Lin Feng stopped and turned to look at the women. You all take a rest first. I'll use this opportunity to sensitize my surroundings. Good. Then, Lin Feng closed his eyes, activated his perception ability, and controlled the detection range to about 800 meters. Soon, a clear and vivid picture gradually appeared in his mind. In the woods 530 meters to the south, two snow-white, mutated foxes were walking slowly. Their figures appeared and disappeared in the woods. Upon closer inspection, it could be found that they contained intermediate material exchange coupons and intermediate weapon exchange coupons. 750 meters away in the woods, a mutated venomous ice snake was tightly coiled around a tree branch, constantly extending and retracting its long, thin forked tongue, its triangular eyes fixed on two mutated foxes not far away. 580 meters to the north, a huge mutated ice python lay quietly coiled in the snow, its eyes tightly closed, making it difficult to tell whether it was hibernating or patiently waiting for its prey to take the bait. Upon closer inspection, it can be detected that there are two high-grade food exchange coupons within its body. About 20 centimeters underground, 800 meters below the surface, lie two food exchange coupons. The surrounding area is swarming with mutated ice ants the size of buckets, busily moving about. Each ant contains both a food exchange coupon and a water resource exchange coupon. 700 meters to the east is the same frozen lake we encountered yesterday. Many large and small mutated ice fish roamed around the lake, happily feeding on plankton and algae, their sharp teeth gleaming coldly in the water. Most of the mutated ice fish contain low-level food exchange coupons and low-level material exchange coupons. At 800 meters past the glacial lake, you can see two indigenous women squatting by the lake, filling wooden containers with water. They looked alert, their eyes constantly scanning their surroundings, seemingly worried about any potential danger. Lin Feng slowly opened his eyes and recounted what he had sensed to everyone. There are two mutated foxes to the south, and a mutated venomous ice snake is preparing to attack them not far away. To the north are mutated ice pythons and food vouchers hidden underground, but the surrounding area is full of mutated ice ants. There are many mutated ice fish in the eastern glacial lake, and two female indigenous people are also by the lake. After hearing this, everyone looked at each other in bewilderment. Lin Maywest spoke first. Which way should we go first? The foxes and snakes to the south seemed dangerous. Vivi frowned and said, there are ice pythons and ice ants to the north, which are not easy to deal with. Lin Feng pondered for a moment. We still have plenty of time. Let's go check out the ice lake to the east first, and try to avoid those two female aboriginals. Everyone nodded in agreement, and the group carefully made their way towards the frozen lake to the east. When approaching the glacial lake, they kept a low profile to avoid disturbing the female indigenous people on the lakeshore and the ice fish in the lake. However, their actions alerted the ice fish, and some of them quickly swam to the bottom of the lake. Lin Feng made a gesture, signaling everyone to prepare for the arrest. Just as they were about to make their move, the two indigenous women suddenly turned around and looked in their direction. Lin Feng's heart tightened, and he quickly signaled everyone to remain quiet and not to make any rash moves. The female aboriginal woman's gaze swept over their hiding place, seemingly puzzled, but finding nothing amiss, she turned back to continue filling her water container. Everyone breathed a sigh of relief, but at this moment, the ice fish in the lake became more wary because of the disturbance and no longer easily approached the shore. This can't go on. We need to think of a way to lure them over, Lin Feng said in a low voice. Lin Maywest thought for a moment and took out some food scraps from her backpack. Maybe we can try this. Lin Feng nodded, took the food scraps, and gently scattered them into the lake. Sure enough, some ice fish smelled the food and began to slowly swim back. Lin Feng seized the opportunity, reached out, and grabbed an ice fish. The girls followed suit, and soon they caught more than a dozen. Ah, they really are a bunch of stupid fish, Lin Feng said with a smile. Ding, edible meat detected. Yes/no, store in inventory. What is this? Edible. I've never seen anything like it before. Lin Feng was startled, and the women also received the system's notification. After their initial shock, they were overjoyed. Great! Finally, we can eat meat. Yes, we can make fish soup today. Lin Mayway swallowed hard as she thought about it. Afterwards, the girls quickly put the ice fish into their backpacks, and then, full of enthusiasm, started catching more. Lin Feng didn't hesitate and joined the fish-catching army. Soon, they stopped, satisfied, when no more ice fish could be seen on the surface of the frozen lake. Lin Feng opened his spatial backpack and saw that he had actually caught 20 of them. The women also arrested quite a few, bringing their total to 51. Afterwards, they took out the vouchers from the bellies of each ice fish and prepared to hand them all over to Lin Feng. No need to give it to me. You can keep it yourselves. Consider it a perk for me. Really? Aya looked at Lin Feng in disbelief. After all, she had never seen so many vouchers before. Yes, really. Upon hearing Lin Feng's affirmative answer, the women's faces beamed with excited smiles. Lin Feng, you're so great. Yu Yao cheered, moved closer to him, and gave Lin Feng a big kiss on the cheek. Seeing this, the remaining girls were not to be outdone, and each of them took a turn. Let's go. Let's go to the next location. Just as they were about to leave, the two female aboriginals suddenly stood up and walked towards them, holding bone clubs in their hands. Upon seeing this, the women all drew their weapons. Lin Feng raised his hand and waved it downwards, signaling them not to act impulsively, then stepped forward. He took out some food and smiled as he gestured to the female indigenous woman in a friendly manner. The female indigenous woman stopped and looked at the food in Lin Feng's hand, her eyes filled with doubt. After some gesturing and simple pronunciation attempts, they took out the ice fish and showed it to them. The two indigenous women then understood that Lin Feng meant hunting in the frozen lake, and their tense expressions relaxed. Wait, halt. Wait, what are you two yelling about? Lin Feng was speechless, his lips twitching. Chapter 109, Curious Indigenous People, Soudain Danger. Seeing Lin Feng's blank expression, the two indigenous women realized that they couldn't understand each other's language, and their communication instantly stalled. They exchanged glances, and one of the indigenous people timidly pointed to the food in Lin Feng's hand, then pointed to herself. Then, he put his hands together in a prayer gesture with utmost sincerity. Lin Feng instantly understood that they were craving food. After a moment's thought, he generously took out 2 small packets of cookies and handed them to them. The moment the two indigenous people received the food, their faces lit up with tears of gratitude, and they began to ramble on and on about things that were hard to understand. Just then, one of the plump, dark-skinned indigenous women took a necklace made of animal teeth from her neck and handed it to Lin Feng with anticipation, as if she wanted to give it as a sincere return gift. Lin Feng smiled and took the necklace, fiddling with it in his hands for a while, but the system did not respond. He then nodded to them in thanks. Let's go. Lin Feng turned around and looked at the group of women behind him. The women responded, their eyes still fixed on the two indigenous women, remaining vigilant. Just as they were about to leave, they were surprised to find that the two indigenous people were following closely behind them like shadows, showing no intention of leaving. Are they going to follow us? Lin Mayway asked, full of doubt. Lin Feng shrugged helplessly. They probably think we can bring them more benefits, so let's not worry about it for now, as long as they don't cause trouble. The group continued onward, heading towards their next destination. Throughout the journey, the two indigenous people's curious gazes never left Lin Feng and his companions' well-equipped gear and bulging packs. Soon, as they approached the area where the ice python was, Lin Feng stopped and prepared to use his sensory perception to investigate. There's an ice python 1 meter directly in front of you. Holy crap! Sudden splash. The thick snowdrift was suddenly ripped aside. A huge ice python was revealed. Its body is as thick as a 100-year-old tree, and its scales shimmer with a cold blue light. The surrounding snow was violently hurled into the air, like a white blizzard, instantly blurring their vision. The ice python raised its head high, its blood-red maw wide open, spewing out a chilling breath. Its body twisted and turned, stirring up a gust of wind, and icy snowflakes danced wildly around it, forming an ice and snow vortex. Lin Feng was greatly alarmed and instantly activated his drowsiness ability. However, This ice python seemed extremely powerful, possessing a certain degree of resistance to Lin Feng's skills. Seeing this, Lorna cast missed. But the ice python only paused for a moment before quickly breaking through the fog and continuing its attack on the group. Aya summoned the earth wall in front of everyone. A loud bang. The ice python's thick body slammed into the earthen wall, instantly causing cracks to appear. No way. I couldn't quite believe it. At this moment, the two female indigenous people behind Lin Feng actually rushed forward. They wielded bone clubs and slammed them hard into the ice python's body. Clang! The ice python's belly deflated instantly, and it let out a miserable howl. Then it angrily exhaled a breath of cold air, and in the blink of an eye, the surrounding air froze. Everyone, focus your attack on its eyes. Lin Feng shouted loudly. Upon hearing this, everyone turned their attack towards the ice python's eyes. Sensing the group's intentions, the ice python twisted its body even more frantically, defending its vital points. Just then, Lin Feng seized the opportunity when the ice python turned around, rushed forward, and thrust his machete straight at the ice python's left eye. The ice python, in pain and anger, lashed out with its tail, sending Lin Feng flying. Lin Feng, the women exclaimed. Chapter 110, Penetrating Through. The ice python's madness. Lin Feng crashed heavily to the ground, kicking up a cloud of snowflakes. He quickly got up and charged at the ice python again. At this moment, the two female aboriginals did not back down. They skillfully dodged the ice python's attacks and continued to look for opportunities to attack it. At this moment, Lin Meiwei took out a bow and arrow from her spatial backpack and shot the arrows one after another at the ice python's eyes, but the python blocked them all with the scales on its head. Rona kept increasing the density of the fog, gritting her teeth and persevering. Aya worked hard to maintain the earthen wall to prevent the ice python from charging at the group again. Soon, after a fierce battle, the ice python's movements gradually became sluggish, and its body was covered with wounds. Lin Feng seized the opportunity and activated the drowsiness skill again. This time, the ice python's resistance was significantly weakened. Taking this opportunity, everyone concentrated their efforts and attacked the ice python's eyes. Soon, the ice python's left eye was pierced by Lin Feng's machete. Hiss! Roar! The ice python let out a mournful cry, its thick body thrashing wildly, stirring up waves of snow. Bang! Aya's earthen wall was instantly and mercilessly destroyed by the ice python's furious tail. Then its tail, like a giant whip, swept across suddenly. Aya was caught off guard, and her petite body flew out like a kite with a broken string, crashing hard into a snowdrift in the distance, kicking up a cloud of snowflakes. Aya! Yu Yao exclaimed in surprise and quickly ran to her side, pulling her out of the snowdrift. Before my eyes, Aya had already fainted, and the blood overflowing from the corner of her mouth was particularly glaring against the white snow. Without the slightest hesitation, Yu Yao immediately began to use her healing talent. On Lin Feng's side, the group kept dodging as they watched the ice python go berserk. Damn it! Lin Feng cursed, his eyes fierce. He gripped the machete again and charged toward the ice python's injured left eye. Lin Meiwen knocked an arrow and drew her bow, moving even faster, unleashing a rain of arrows upon the ice python. Rona was also doing her best to maintain the mist, obstructing the ice python's vision. The ice python's tail swept across again, and Lin Feng rolled to dodge, then slashed fiercely at the ice python's tail. The ice python had half of its tail cut off, blood splattering everywhere. After letting out a few screams, it quickly contracted and coiled its body. Give a push, everyone. It's almost done for. Lin Feng shouted. On Yu Yao's side, Aya slowly opened her eyes and said weakly, Don't worry about me. Go help them. Okay, Aya, be careful. No. Yu Yao nodded and rejoined the battle. After that, the group's attacks grew increasingly fierce, and the ice python gradually became overwhelmed. Bang! Bang! Taking advantage of the moment when it was off guard, the female aboriginal and Vivi circled around behind the ice python and struck its head several times with their weapons. Taking advantage of the moment it was stunned, Lin Feng jumped into the air, pointed his machete downwards, and plunged it into the ice python's head. Ding! Double damage triggered. Ding! Triggered uncontrollable bleeding. Ding. Lifesteal triggered. A system notification sounded. Then, Lin Feng's machete pierced straight through the ice python's head. The ice python's massive body crashed down, staining the surrounding snow a deep crimson. Lin Feng and the others collapsed to the ground, exhausted and panting heavily. Finally, we've taken care of this guy, Lin Feng said. They smiled at each other, realizing that the victory in this battle had not come easily. At this moment, two female aboriginals ran over excitedly, gesturing at Lin Feng and the others, seemingly celebrating their victory. Uka, Uka, Lin Feng smiled and nodded at them, then began to check everyone's injuries. Fortunately, Aya is fine now thanks to Yu Yao's treatment, while the others only suffered some abrasions and sprains. We really owe a lot to these two indigenous sisters this time, Lin Maywes said. Lin Feng looked at the two female indigenous women, his heart filled with surprise and admiration. Yes, their strength is not to be underestimated. Chapter 111 The Harvest. Why did two female indigenous people follow us? Then, Lin Feng swiftly cut open the ice python's belly, reached inside to carefully search, and pulled out the voucher. The two indigenous women stared at Lin Feng's movements with curiosity. Their eyes were wide open, but they couldn't see anything in Lin Feng's hand at all. Lin Feng was seen rummaging around inside the ice python's belly, looking as if he had pulled out an incredible treasure. After putting the two intermediate-level food exchange coupons into his backpack, Lin Feng turned around and came to the group of women. Let's go to the next place. Good. The women responded and stood up. Soon, 800 meters to the north, the group arrived at the location of the ice ants, and Lin Feng directed the women to dig through the snowdrift. What comes into view? Countless ice ants crawled up and down from the hollowed-out ground, each carrying scraps of flesh from some unknown creature in its mouth. So much. Aya opened her mouth wide and exclaimed in surprise. Just then, upon spotting the enemy, the ice ants instantly became alert and began spraying white liquid at the group. Get out of the way, Lin Feng shouted. Earthen wall. Aya reacted extremely quickly, instantly activating her talent. Bang, bang. The crisp impact sounds rang out continuously, and the earthen walls were frozen into blocks of ice. Ouch. Luckily, Aya reacted quickly, otherwise it would have hurt a lot if she had been attacked. I can't believe it, Rona exclaimed, still shaken. Next, Lin Feng went around the earthen wall and carefully observed the area. He saw a huge number of ice ants crawling out of the ground. Goodness gracious, if someone with trypophobia saw this, they would go crazy. Without further hesitation, Lin Feng rushed forward and slashed fiercely at an ice ant with his machete. Ding! Double damage triggered. With a single slash, the ice ant was instantly cut in two. So crispy. After a moment of surprise, Lin Feng raised his knife and began to chop down one after another without stopping. Ding! Triggered uncontrollable bleeding. Ding! Double damage triggered. Ding! Double damage triggered. Ding! Lifesteal triggered. Soon, Lin Feng discovered that when killing these low-level mutated creatures, the chance of his machete triggering its damage effect increased dramatically. Not bad. It's so satisfying to hack and slash after the effect is triggered. Seeing this, the women also took out their weapons and joined the battle. Soon, all the ice ants were killed. After taking out all the vouchers and putting them into their spatial backpack, the sky gradually darkened. The temperature suddenly dropped. Lin Feng and the other girls couldn't help but wrap their cotton-padded coats tighter around themselves. Vivi's breath was like a thick fog. To their surprise, the two indigenous women behind them did not seem to feel cold and continued to stand there quietly talking. Lin Feng looked at the two female aboriginals with curiosity and gestured a few times with his hands. One of the indigenous women responded with a smile. Lin Feng roughly understood what they meant. We grew up in this icy and snowy place and are used to the cold. Lin Feng nodded slightly and looked at the women. Let's go, it's getting dark. Let's hurry back to the iron house. Afterwards, the group started walking back, with a howling wind blowing along the way, making their cheeks sting. However, the indigenous women still followed closely behind them. Lin Feng frowned, then turned and walked towards the two female indigenous people. He gestured. We're going back now. You don't need to follow us anymore. One of the indigenous women responded. Okay, could you give us some more food? We've been helping you all day. No wonder they kept following us. They wanted to help us get food. Lin Feng shook his head helplessly, knowing that they had indeed helped a lot that day, and it was only right that he should give them something in return. He then took out 2 packets of pork jerky from his spatial backpack and handed them to them. After receiving the package, the 2 indigenous women opened it, took out a piece of pork jerky, chewed it a few times, and their eyes lit up instantly. They grinned happily, revealing a set of big white teeth. He then bowed to Lin Feng and headed south. Lin Feng watched the female aboriginal's departing figure, then turned around and led the women back towards the iron house. As darkness fell, the surrounding scenery became increasingly blurry. Lin Feng felt a vague unease, as if something was secretly watching them. "Everyone, hurry up and don't fall behind," Lin Feng shouted. The women quickened their pace, their breathing becoming rapid. Suddenly, a gust of wind howled past, whipping up the snow on the ground and forming a white barrier. "Damn it, it's that weird wind again." Chapter 1:12 An Unknown Enemy? Mental Power Enhancement? "Scatter!" Lin Feng shouted hoarsely. Phew! In an instant, a gust of wind howled past, whipping up a flurry of snowflakes. The swirling snowflakes, like a white curtain, swept in from all directions. The snow instantly engulfed Lin Feng and the others, covering them completely in snow, making them look like snowmen, almost unrecognizable. "Tui!" Lin Feng spat out the snow from his mouth while staring wide-eyed. The strong wind that had just gone away suddenly turned back. His face was full of panic. Without the slightest hesitation, he grabbed Lin Mayweb beside him and ran forward with all his might. "Don't just stand there. Run back to the iron house." As Lin Feng ran, he turned back and shouted loudly, "Hey, Lin Feng, wait for us." The remaining girls were stunned for a moment as they watched Lin Feng walk away, and then they all ran with all their might. Soon, after dragging their tired bodies back to the iron house, the group saw that the other team members had already returned and were sitting on the ground exchanging their experiences of the day. "Hey, Commander Lin Feng, you're finally back. We were just discussing going out to look for you." As Alice spoke happily, she stepped forward and helped Lin Feng brush off the thick snowflakes from his body. "Huh, this girl is pretty good. She has a good eye." Lin Feng looked the sweet-looking girl up and down. He noticed that although she wasn't particularly tall, she had a curvaceous figure with prominent breasts and buttocks, making her practically perfect. Especially her pair of pure, big eyes, like clear lake water, sparkling with light, and her high ponytail, full of youthful vitality. Gurgle. Just then, Alice noticed that Lin Feng was watching her, so she raised her head to meet his gaze and smiled sweetly. It's on purpose. She definitely did it on purpose. This little girl seems to have been plotting against me for a long time." Thinking to himself, he turned to look at Rona. "Lorna, you can make the arrangements now. Come to my room and let me know if there's any news later." "Okay," Rona replied. Afterwards, Lin Feng returned to his room and took out 20 pieces of charcoal from his spatial backpack and put them into the stove. Soon, the temperature inside the room gradually rose, and the originally cold air was gradually replaced by warmth. Lin Feng took off his heavy cotton-padded coat, snuggled into the warm quilt, and began to think seriously. Based on the information I have so far, these indigenous people do not seem to have much hostility towards outsiders, and they also seem to lack food sources. Lin Feng frowned slightly, constantly sorting through these key pieces of information in his mind. Furthermore, their strength is immense, regardless of whether they are men or women. A moment of silence. Lin Feng lay quietly on the iron bed, his thoughts involuntarily drifting back to the time he fought the ice python earlier that day. The harrowing scene kept replaying in his mind, leaving him still unable to calm down. What shocked and surprised him the most was that the 2 female aboriginals were able to wield sticks and unleash such astonishing power, smashing the ice python's thick and incredibly hard body flat with a single blow. It seems that I absolutely cannot get into a conflict with these indigenous people. If a group of them come and smash my iron house, I'm doomed. Furthermore, the natives we've encountered so far seem to be similar to self-sufficient primitive tribes. According to what the system says about the outskirts of the Noah Empire, the real enemy probably hasn't discovered us yet. Phew! Lin Feng took a deep breath and continued to ponder. The most important thing right now is how to prevent the people of the Noah Empire from discovering us and ensure our safe survival here. Furthermore, We need to find ways to build a more friendly relationship with the indigenous people of this area. Perhaps we can obtain more useful information from them, or find more rare materials. As he pondered, Lin Feng felt a wave of fatigue wash over him. Just as he was about to close his eyes, there was a soft knock on the door. Knock, knock. Lin Feng, this is Luo Na. Lin Feng sat up and said, come in. Luo Na walked into the room, saw Lin Feng in bed, and without any hesitation, took off her shoes and crawled in. Seeing this, Lin Feng moved her to a different spot. Lin Feng, the third squad went out to investigate today and discovered some new information. Upon hearing this, Lin Feng's spirits instantly lifted. Tell me quickly what's going on? Lorna frowned and said, they found a large number of human footprints in the forest about 10 kilometers away. They looked very neat and didn't seem to belong to the natives of this area. Lin Feng's heart tightened, and he asked, can you determine when it was left? Based on the depth of the footprints they described, it should be around 8 o'clock this morning. Lin Feng pondered for a moment. Continue to strengthen vigilance. Send out another team to investigate tomorrow. Report any developments immediately. Luo Na nodded, then took out 2 special food exchange coupons from her spatial backpack and handed them to Lin Feng. These 2 vouchers were obtained by the first team today, by luck in killing 2 injured mutated ice snakes. Hee, not bad, 2 more. Lin Feng smiled, put the exchange coupons into his backpack, and then took out some of the food exchange coupons and water resource exchange coupons he had collected that day and handed them to Luo Na. Then she took the broken stove and left. Lin Feng lay back down on the bed and opened both special food exchange coupons, obtaining 1 power apple and 1 spirit fruit. This is a spiritual essence fruit. Lin Feng took out the fiery red, walnut-sized spirit fruit from his spatial backpack, his heart filled with surprise. View information. Spiritual fruit. A special food with an extremely low drop rate. Obtaining one is incredibly lucky, and consuming it can greatly enhance mental power. Seeing this, Lin Feng no longer hesitated. After finishing his meal, he quickly opened the information panel. Spirit, 150. Agility, 130. Strength, 2,310. One of these directly increased my mental strength by 50 points. No wonder it's so rare. Haha, I'm so lucky today. Chapter 113 blocked at the door by the female team members. A strange black area. Then, Lin Feng closed his eyes and felt the changes brought about by the improvement in his mental strength. He discovered that there was a faint mist surrounding his mind, gently enveloping him like a protective barrier. Could it be that my spiritual energy is turned into mist? Lin Feng asked with delight. It should be, since there was never this mist before. Without further thought, Lin Feng took out the animal hide that the natives had given him last time and began to examine it carefully. 3 kilometers to the south,